She makes me at home, so just sharing the joy.
Both Nova and I love coming here, enjoying interacting with the people, whether it's the staff or the families or the patients. It's just a good experience, like you're contributing something.
We're introducing a great new way to help you manage your property taxes. San Bernardino County is now accepting partial property tax payments because we know that paying in full all at once isn't always easy.
Hi, I'm Ensign Mason, your Auditor, Controller, Treasurer, Tax Collector. Let's talk about why this new option is a big deal. Partial payments can reduce financial stress and give you more control over how and when you pay. Used wisely, this can help you avoid missed deadlines, penalties, and interest. What we're here to talk about today is our partial payment system. Since I got here, people have asked about is why do I have to pay my property taxes in 2 installments? Can't we pay monthly? We pay everything else monthly. And Shay, tell them a little bit about what we're going to be doing.
Now you have an opportunity to pay partial payments on your secured taxes. With partial payments, you decide when and how much to pay, anytime, day or night. Whether you pay online or in person, it's flexible and easy. There are a few important things to keep in mind. Partial payments don't stop penalties or interest if you miss key deadlines. First installment is due November 1st with penalties after December 10th. Second installment is due February 1st with penalties after April 10th. And partial payments don't prevent your property from becoming eligible for tax sale if payments default. Let's move forward together.
This is Ensign Mason helping San Bernardino County taxpayers meet their obligations one payment at a time.
The Management and Leadership Academy is about an 8-month program that deals with leaders, future leaders, gives them an opportunity to expand their skills or to learn more about how to effectively manage and lead in their departments.
It was developed 20 years ago because we wanted to ensure that all of our leadership had the necessary tools to be able to not only service our employees internally, but also meet the needs of our community in an excellent manner.
MLA gives employees a comprehensive understanding of the county and its mission. It helps employees become better leaders to pour that out into the community.
When you're a participant, you come in and you're either in a supervisory level, you're in a managerial level or an executive level, and you are either partnered with a coach or a mentor, and they guide you throughout the process.
It's a great way to connect staff with leadership. It's a great way to network and meet new people. Every department, every employee within the county is doing something that contributes to the overall vision and goal of the county.
I work directly with all the branch managers in our county libraries. So my goal is to share what I've learned to them so they can be the effective leaders in the community so they can make an impact.
There's so much good that we do for the people of San Bernardino County, and for the leadership to understand that this is important to build our leaders, our future leaders, I just really think that it's a positive experience all around.
I was in the inaugural EDP program back in 2005, right after they reconfigured the program. The program helped me gain a lot of confidence in not just my current job, but where I wanted to go in the future.
Services offered are a reflection of the leadership in the organization. If we're preparing more effective leaders, inspiring leaders, we can have services offered in a way that helps the residents succeed and thrive in our county.
It's just a unique experience that you won't get anywhere else. You won't get it going to some college. This is hands-on experience with people that work at the county and share the same passion.
I was very happy to learn from the experts, kind of work with them, learn with them, grow together, and just get the opportunity to just be a better leader and create wonderful teams.
In order to have a stronger workforce, we need strong leaders. That brings better efficiency, better, stronger results, better collaboration amongst different departments, and ultimately it is in service of the community of San Bernardino County.
Disaster can strike at any moment. Whether it's a winter snowstorm, summer wildfire, or an earthquake, being ready is our best line of defense. San Bernardino County knows that we're stronger together, so we're asking you to prepare with us. Visit prepare.sbcounty.gov to equip yourself with knowledge. Sign up for emergency alerts or download our Ready SB County app. Learn how to create a family plan, assemble an emergency kit, and more. Preparedness is a responsibility we all share, and preparedness starts here.
So much to love, so much to see. Right here where you wanna be. Live, explore, make it known. San Bernardino County, yours to roam.
Discover why there's so much to love in San Bernardino County by visiting love.sbcounty.gov.
Today, we're touring high school campuses around San Bernardino, meeting with students, teachers, and career pathway programs who are helping prepare the next generation of San Bernardino County's workforce.
10 years ago, the members of the Board of Education had this vision for the career and technical education pathways to prepare students for college and the workforce.
The Workforce Development Department can help county departments who are interested in providing work experience learning opportunities to a youth worker by helping to facilitate placement opportunities and paying participant wages.
The goal of the CTE pathways is to prepare our students to industry standards to be absolutely prepared to enter the workforce the day after high school graduation.
We have a variety of CTE pathways, from business to construction. We have a digital media and arts academy. We have a lot of different pathways for the students to choose from.
When I was in high school, it very much was you have this set list of classes that you get the grades in, you'll get your diploma. These CTE programs much more focused on helping students build those skills for those next steps in their life.
We're really blessed to have a lot of access to multiple modalities. You can come in after school and work with athletes. You can go out onto the field and work with athletes there too. It's just multiple skills, critical thinking that we learned in this program that carry out through life.
Where before we'd have to pay like upwards of $100 grand and such just to learn those skills, to where now, like in high school, the students are actually leaving with 21st century skills and like job skills and things that they could use right away.
I chose this pathway because the dental industry has always been like a passion of mine. I think that it's really helpful, it's really beneficial because it gives us the hands-on learning that we need. We already know a lot more than what a normal person going into that field would know.
We have 8 fully functional dental units. We have a fully functional infection control area.
Classroom spaces that we have created are even a cut above the private sector.
I'm always talking about this beautiful building, so there'll be great candidates for all those positions or future positions that will open in our county.
I like the teachers, I like all the tools, the trucks that we have. Technically everything that we have here in this pathway, I love.
The opportunities that we have here, like taking certifications, is just things I would not have had without this academy. And the teacher is a really good motivator. He's been the mentor that I have been hoping to have.
These practical approaches in CTE and how we approach learning in CTE has really changed the game for the future workforce. And I can't wait to see what my students do next.
The county's Workforce Development Department and our coordinator, Chelsea Ramirez, have developed this system for our students to earn an internship certificate. San Bernardino County can hire them directly out of school.
The partnership is great, and the students in San Bernardino City Unified are absolutely spectacular. Our students want to stay local to their families, and being able to partner with San Bernardino County Workforce for our students to compete for San Bernardino County jobs is incredible.
I have a lot of family in San Bernardino County. I plan to stay in San Bernardino County the rest of my life, so I felt like this was the best option for me.
This partnership could potentially change not only the trajectory of our students' lives, but also the trajectory of the city.
We're extremely excited, and that continues on with the vision of having our kids stay right here in the county of San Bernardino, where the money stays here, the brilliance stays here, and our community starts to rise.
The county is helping to ensure that the next generation has the skills and work experience they need to land the career of their dreams and support our economy.
During a major disaster, staying informed is crucial. Sign up for the San Bernardino County Telephone Emergency Notification System, TENS, to receive emergency alerts for your area. TENS alerts are sent via phone and text, providing you with critical updates such as evacuation warnings and orders. Simply register with a valid San Bernardino County address. Don't wait until it's too late. Register now at oes.sbcounty.gov. Connect with us, stay prepared, stay informed.
It's an honor to be here today to celebrate the groundbreaking of the Glen Helen Parkway Bridge project.
This is really going to impact not just the local community, but the region. It's important that we listen to our residents. Our residents say, why is this not finished? And it's important that we address those issues.
This is a brand new 4-lane bridge that crosses the Cajon Wash, and it connects to the former bridge that was already here. This is going to create a great new traffic flow, traffic pattern for all the residents in this area.
It's being built with local lifestyle in mind, including multi-use pathways that are horse trail friendly, and designated bike lanes and sidewalks.
This $52.2 million funded project is a collaborative effort with our federal partners, our regional transportation partners, and then there's a county match involved, and County Public Works will see this through to fruition.
We're going to be working with the county closely and making sure that we are here to provide all the assistance to make sure the project is delivered.
I will thank in advance our residents for their patience as we start construction. There will be inconveniences, but we will do our best to minimize those. We will always have access through this area.
This is an investment for the community. This is making sure that they have better transit. We look at our police and fire are going to have better access routes. People could come to our regional parks and see the great things that we're doing, the great investments. That means more people coming to the county of San Bernardino to enjoy the beautiful amenities that we have here.
I am so excited that people are going to find it easier to get in and out of Glen Helen Regional Park, whether they're coming here for just a day at the swim.
Good morning. I would like to call this meeting to order. I would also like to acknowledge this morning our High Desert and Joshua Tree video conferencing sites, and thank you all for joining us. Our pledge and invocation will be led by the 2nd District today.
Thank you, Chair. This morning it is my honor to introduce Pastor Jim Smith, will be leading us in our morning prayer and our pledge of allegiance. Pastor Jim is a resident of Rancho Cucamonga, where him, his wife, Vicky, and 4 children and 11 grandchildren call home. Jim graduated from Moody Bible Institute in Chicago and has a master's in theology and a doctorate in ministry. He has been active pastor since 1979, including the senior pastor in Apple Valley, California, and now for 11 years, the lead pastor in San Antonio Heights Community Church. Let's bring up Pastor Smith.
Thank you. Would you all stand? It's good to be here. Thank you for coming. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come and gather. We thank you for those who are leading. Lord, we come before you today with a grateful heart, acknowledging that every good and perfect gift comes from you. And as this board of supervisors gather today to lead and serve our community, I ask that you grant each member here wisdom to discern what is right, the courage to pursue justice, and compassion to serve those who are in need. May their discussions today be guided by fairness, their decisions marked by mercy, and their actions shaped by humility. May your peace and presence fill this room today, and all that is done here, Lord, we ask that it would honor you, and also would it bless those whom they serve. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. I want to thank all the Board of Supervisors for inviting me, and if you'd join me now as we say a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, sir. We will now move on to our memorial adjournments. Vice Chair Baca, Supervisor Armendariz, Supervisor Hagman. All right, we have one presentation this morning, so if my colleagues can join me in the well, please. Could I ask Melissa Graham to please join us? Good morning. Here, we'll put you over here. This morning, it is our honor to present a resolution to honor Melissa Graham, who's retiring after 36 years with the county. She began her career in 1990 as the clerk of San Bernardino County Medical Center, which is now Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. She is retiring as a program specialist with the Department of Behavioral Health, Children and Youth Collaborative Services. Thank you so much for all of your significant impacts to the county and the different services. Thank you. Okay. She's opting out of saying a few words. Do you have anybody that you'd like to bring up with your family for photos?
No.
Department?
Well, my supervisors are all right here.
Bring them on up for a photo. Come on up. Thank you for all your years of service, and may you have a happy retirement. Thank you. We will now move on to our reports from County Council. Laura?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing to report.
And from our CEO, Luther?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Nothing to report from me either.
Very well. That brings us to our individual board member comments. Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to congratulate Adam Bogerine from the 5th District. He'll be appointed today for the Senior Affairs Commission, and I've known Adam for over 15 years. We actually went through our credentialing program. He's an educator in the San Bernardino City Unified School District. We're just so proud of him and excited to have him on our Senior Affairs Commission. Just some exciting things to report in the 5th District. Just want to thank the Public Works Department and the CEO's office for their investment in Jackson Street and Cypress. What they did is a streetlight project which improved the visibility and safety for many of our residents in the county unincorporated area. So I want to thank Public Works and the CEO for their good work on executing additional streetlights, which are LED, so it's a great thing. I want to thank the Office of Homeless Services, Chief Marcus Stillard, for the great work they did for the point-in-time count. I know that Luther Snoke and I know that Diane Rundles and some of my colleagues participated in the point-in-time count. I want to thank them for doing everything they can to address this issue. Tonight at Rialto High School, one of the things we're going to celebrate is one of our investments that we've made with our county discretionary money. We're going to flip the switch on a baseball field at Rialto High School, which is exciting, at 5 p.m. tonight. And the great thing is two of our local heroes, Ricky Nolasco, played 13 years in the big leagues, and Victor Vodic, that currently plays for the Colorado Rockies. Rialto products will be there to celebrate this. And this is personal for me. I actually coached at this high school, so it's great to see these investments come to fruition. I want to invite the community this Thursday in Muscoy community at 9 a.m. at the Baker Learning Center. We're going to have a Cup of Joe in Muscoy, where we're going to have the Sheriff's Department and code enforcement talk and give community updates on some of the things going on in the Muscoy community. On February 7th, I want to announce in Rialto Unincorporated, we're going to have a dump day. So anyone that lives in unincorporated Rialto, please come join us February 7th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I want to thank Code and Public Works for the great work they do. It's no cost to the community. Also on February 7th, the same day, we'll be having Kite Day at Kessler Park. So if anyone has any kids, want to come out and fly a kite, it's a great opportunity for kids to put their phones down and remain physically active. I want to thank Regional Parks for their partnership on this. And also at our county libraries, just want to let them know that the 5th District is having a bookmark design contest for all of our students in the 5th District, and the winners will be announced, and they'll be printed and distributed at all of our libraries. And I just want to give a shout out to our county libraries. They did a I Love Your Library events throughout the county. It's a great opportunity to get kids engaged in our county libraries, and just want to thank them for that great work. And the last thing, just want to highlight 3 agenda board items. The first one is item 21, is we're continuing to invest in the Pacific Village Platinum Campus, $38 million of BCHIP money from the state of California for 32 new residential substance use disorder beds, which is needed especially for our law enforcement community, and to make sure we continue to address homelessness and get individuals the help that they need. Item 38, which is in the Little Third unincorporated community, we're investing $708,000 in ADA ramps, which is near the elementary school, Monterey Elementary School. I want to thank Public Works for their investment and the great things they're doing. And the last thing, item 56, which is Fire Protection District and the agreement that they have, a lease agreement with the International Airport here in San Bernardino. And this will provide short-term certainty for a long-term facility solution while it's continued to be evaluated. So this is a great partnership between County Fire District and also the International Airport. And that concludes my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Armendariz.
Yes, thank you, Chair. A lot of exciting things this week. We actually participated in the point-in-time count. I'm glad that I was able to be out there, have boots on the ground, because it really gave us a good indication of where we have had accomplishments and where we've had some shortfall. And I look forward to seeing those numbers come back and seeing how we could utilize those funds to support our homeless out there. Drug addiction is still a huge problem with these people. I mean, everywhere we went, the drug addiction is tremendous with the people who are homeless. So looking at how we can secure more of funding to help those who are at risk, especially a lot of the worst part for me was seeing all the young women who are drug addicted and on the streets. We also participated in the Southern California Water Coalition quarterly lunch meeting. We spoke at the Upland Chamber of Commerce, where we provided them with an update of what's going on in the county. I want to thank my partner here, Supervisor Hagman, for participating with me in our Let's Talk About It event. We had over 188 people show up and have tacos with us. So it was a great event. We were able to give updates to the community. We were able to talk to people, find out where they had issues. So it was a great event. We also did our pop-up office hours, where we show up to your community and we do our business there. And we were able to do that in 2 locations. This last couple weeks, we did one in Rancho and we did one in Fontana. And I was had a great opportunity to rein in the Lunar New Year in Rancho Cucamonga at their third annual Lunar New Year Festival. And we also, me and some of my staff members were able to participate at the Uplands Taste of the IE. I want to take a moment also just to thank Chair Rao for her recommending me for the CFS ad hoc committee for the county. I think this is a great opportunity for us in this committee to place focus where we need to and be able to support our children and family services even more. So looking forward to, if this goes through, being part of that. So thank you, Chair. Lots of investment in the 2nd District. We have over 100, on the agenda today, we have over 150,000 going for the City of Fontana for their economic development plan in the downtown area. We have 418,000 going to the Fontana Unified School District for a crisis alert platform. This is gonna allow teachers to actually lock down the schools by a press of a button on a lanyard. So it sucks that we are in a time that we have to have these type of tools available. And I'm just glad that I could be a part of this pilot with them so that we can see how we can keep our teachers and our families and our children safe. We also have Summit High School, who is actually going to be competing nationally once again, and we're supporting them. We have $125,000 going to Rivers Edge Ranch for a women's program for substance abuse. And for me, this is a big deal for me. I just spoke earlier of what we're seeing on the streets, but this is another way we're going to be able to support women and getting them the programs they need so they can get healthy. And also Thunder Lightning Peace, a veterans organization, we're supporting them to help create medical kits, blankets, meals, and just really be able to outreach with our veterans. So thank you for comments and have a great day.
Thank you. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Jesse stole a lot of my thunder because we had so many events in Upland this week, but we also did attend the Taste IE as well. It was a great turnout there, and we also was able very happily to join him on his Let's Talk About It. It was a great showing, great food as well. So thank you for being including us in that event. Item number 4 provides $50,000 to American Legion's Chino Post to renovate its hall, including upgrading lighting, paint, flooring, and servicing windows into the kitchen. Item 36 is the not to exceed amount of $500,000 annually to PAW Mission for sprayed and neuter veterinarian services. So we're still very committed to that here in the county. Thank you for my colleagues for that. Item 43 designates 33.67 acres of vacant county land as surplus and allows us to lease the property. It will generate revenue, support the Rancho Cucamonga-Guasti Regional Park. That's the area behind Topgolf. If you haven't seen it, drive by Ontario Airport. We got a brand new monument sign we just announced, celebrating our 10th, going on our 10-year local control. And if you always saw the icon LAX in every news thing, now we have one that says ONT. So that's that new. We were able to unveil that last week. SCAG recently hosted the Inland Empire Housing Workshop to address the region's most pressing housing challenges. And we're also seeking applicants for the Behavioral Health Commission. Please contact my office for further details. Thank you.
Thank you. As Supervisor Armendariz mentioned, that we do have for consideration today the ad hoc committee that Vice Chair Baca and Supervisor Armendariz are willing to sit on to look into our child and family services and how they support families, and also hear from those that have stories to tell on the outside. And so we look forward to you continuing the work of the county and digging into this important issue. So thank you both for that. Now I had the opportunity to go out to the Marine Base in 29 Palms and participate in the Regional Emergency Operations Center tabletop exercise that the Marine Corps put on in 29, and that was great. We had Crisanta Gonzalez from our Office of Emergency Services present, as well as other county employees, and so it was a great opportunity to kind of play out and war game what would happen if we had a catastrophic weather event out in the Morongo Basin. So that was insightful and productive. I would also like to thank all of our volunteers who participated in the point in time count this last week, and to recognize the American Association of Critical Care Nurses recently conferred a gold level Beacon Award for excellence on the Medical Intensive Care Unit at ARMC. They are only one of 2 ICUs in California to earn the gold level award this year. So congratulations to them at ARMC. Andrew and the team, please pass that along from us. And then San Bernardino County Animal Care has started a new partnership with Wings of Rescue, which is a national nonprofit dedicated to transporting at-risk pets from overcrowded shelters and disaster-impacted areas to other locations where they can be quickly adopted. This first official transport took place January 10th, where we had 6 dogs were transported to find new families. And so I thank you to the Animal Care team for finding creative ways to find forever homes for our animals. And that brings us to our agenda today. Lena, do we have any changes or revisions?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No changes today. Thank you.
Very well. If we have any board members who have a conflict of interest on any item on today's calendar, now would be the time to disclose it. All right, seeing none, our consent calendar today consists of items number 2 through 62. I have 1 request to speak, and do I have any board members wishing to comment or pull an item for discussion? All right, we're going to move out to Joshua Tree to our conferencing site where I have Eric Menendez listed.
Hello.
Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning. I didn't, in all honesty, I didn't see this until today on the agenda item, but I just wanted to comment. Thank you for continuing this arrangement. Last week when I spoke, our last supervisors meeting, I couldn't think of the name, but it was Shangri-La Industries and the problems we're having with other programs such as this in San Bernardino. I think the meeting before that, last meeting, a group of people spoke up regarding the concerns they're having regarding housing instability and so forth. And I know they have a property in Redlands, and Redlands has stepped up to step in to manage and keep that operation running. It's just so important that we look out for those who can't look out, who are in such a vulnerable stage of transition. So I commend the county and Carrie Harmon's department for continuing this arrangement. I'm not sure of the specifics on it, but I do think it's important we maintain our partnership with Home Key, because I know in Riverside County, I believe they just had an incident where they're kind of withdrawing from a project such as that. So I think that's concerning. We have to make sure we're keeping an eye on how important these projects are to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Hagman moves.
Thank you, Supervisor Hagman, for the motion and Vice Chair Baca for the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the consent calendar passes unanimously with board members present.
Thank you very much. Our discussion calendar has 2 items on it today. Item number 63 is a public hearing for the discussion of, it is to receive comments to assist in the development of the 2026-2027 annual action plan being presented this morning by Carrie Harmon. And while she makes her way up, I will officially open the public hearing. Good morning, Carrie. It may not be on, or it may need to be closer.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm here, Carrie Harmon with Community Development and Housing. I'm here to provide some context and background for today's public hearing. So each year we come before you to open a public hearing to solicit public comment on how we are going to program money, federal money we receive from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The programming of these funds takes the form of an annual action plan, but basically the plan just outlines our expenditure categories and the projects that we have highlighted for the next year. Funds are allocated to the county, but we have 13 participating cities. We also partner with housing developers and nonprofit agencies to get this money out in our community. And the funds primarily benefit low-income census tracts, also persons with disabilities and homeless individuals or low-income renters. So this funding falls into 3 primary buckets. The first one is the Community Development Block Grant. We are estimating for the next year that we'll receive about $6 million. The majority of these funds are earmarked for infrastructure projects. So those are like sidewalks. It could be community facilities like senior centers. It can also be park improvements, and that's an area we focused on in this county to ensure that our parks could be used by everybody, including those with physical limitations. They're also used a small portion for public service projects. So that includes things like childcare, after-school tutoring, senior meals, things of that nature. A lot of those are carried out by our partnering cities. We estimate that we're going to get probably $2.6 million for our home program. That's affordable, the development of affordable rental housing. So that equates to about one project annually. And we partner with developers to deploy that money in the community. And then finally, we're back to our normal levels, so about $500,000 annually to support the emergency solutions grant. So that's basically sheltering, homeless outreach, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention activities. We've partnered widely with our Office of Homeless Services to address encampments countywide, including encampments in our large cities. So we have a citizen participation plan that has been approved by the board. It's also been the subject of public feedback that really guides how we are transparent in programming this money and reporting our results to the community. So today's hearing is consistent with our citizen participation plan, where we're advertising and soliciting feedback. I also want to share our accomplishments for the last year. So in terms of the Community Development Block Grant, we deployed and expended $6.7 million, with a lot of that funding being earmarked for sidewalk improvement projects and curb cuts, ramps in our unincorporated communities to ensure that we have walkable communities in our unincorporated areas. It also included this work for parks. For our home program, we deployed just under $700,000. It was our final payment for the Rialto MetroLink program, which is our transit-oriented affordable housing development in the city of Rialto. We have more programming that will come online in the next 2 years to bring affordable housing to our communities, and we know we need that. And then finally, we deployed $1 million for the Emergency Solutions Grant, largely in partnership with the Office of Homeless Services, again, targeting homeless encampments, which have been a high priority for the county this year. So for a total of $8.4 million that we expended, we are on track with all of our federal expenditures and are meeting all of the requirements by HUD. And our next steps will be to draft the annual action plan based on feedback we've received. We will present that plan into the board in March. And then come back in April, and finally May we will submit that report. So we will come back to you with those plans on 2 different occasions. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. We have one request to speak out in our Joshua Tree office on this item, Eric Menendez.
Hello again. So I can't believe it was almost a year ago today, I believe on the 14th, where we had the presentation. I think it was the strategic plan, or it was one of the 5-year HUD surveys your department presented. And a lot has been going on since then. I had to step out of the initiatives I was working on through Joshua Tree Gateway Communities Alliance because shortly thereafter I spoke, I got the flu really bad, and it's triggered an autoimmune event. So I was in and out of the hospital, I would say about 15 times for the first part of this year. So I'm doing better, but what I want to speak about is the programs that were up there. I'm at risk of losing housing myself because I wasn't able to work and able to have my side work that I had. And these programs are great, and I have to commend not only Carrie's department, but Office of Homeless Services with all of the different grants, and Marcus Dillard and his team are doing great things. But we have a lot of these different programs with money in the baskets, money to be had, but a lot of these programs are out of funding and so forth. So I think the strong work the county, OHS, and Carrie's department are doing are great. I think we need to continue to move forward and involve all the county departments. I will speak in public comment on a little situation that happened out here this week or a few weeks ago with an unhoused individual who we're trying to help. and share with you a great project I'm working on with people from around the country to come here and try to help some of these vulnerable individuals. But again, I just want to commend the strong work that Carrie's department's doing, OHS, and also commend our local service providers such as the Morongo Basin Housing Solutions Working Group, who have been doing great things out here. So thank you again for moving this project forward, or this line of work forward, and I look forward to seeing how it progresses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from supervisors?
No, I was to say thank you for all the work you and your team is doing for this. Keep moving it forward.
I'm going to close the public hearing.
I'll move it.
Thank you for the motion, Supervisor Hagman.
Just a comment, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Yeah, no, just want to thank Carrie for the great work that she's doing to administer the HUD money, and you know, it's basically on a one-year clock, and she's been really good making sure this money gets out. And just to point out to the general public, you know, it's $8.8 million. You know, $6.5 million of this dollars is basically just for capital projects, which usually gets spread between the 5 districts. You know, so the great thing is that, you know, Carrie and the team has really been trying to get bang for our buck, and I think this year there's $2.6 million for housing, which is not to pay for a full housing project, but just help subsidize or complete a project. And the last one I saw that we've got reduced in the ESG funds compared to last year was a little over $1 million. We're down to $500,000. So stretching that out countywide really doesn't go very far. So when it comes to our investments with housing and homelessness, you know, I give the team a lot of credit for being very, very structured and diligent and making sure that we're getting bang for our buck. So great work. Hands off, Carrie.
Thank you.
Is that a second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the motion passes unanimously of the board members present.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Carrie. Item number 64 is an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision approving the Sienna Solar Project, which will be presented this morning by Miguel Figueroa. But first, Lina, would you read the order of the proceedings for us?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you stated, this is an appeal of Planning Commission action to approve project number PROJ 2022-00013, consisting of a conditional use permit application to construct and operate a single-access tractor ground-mounted photovoltaic utility-scale solar facility in the Lucerne Valley community. The appellant is Morongo Basin Conservation Association et al. The applicant is Avantis LLC. And the order of proceedings on this matter will be as follows. The chair will open the hearing. Miguel Figueroa, Land Use Services Director, will make the staff presentation. The representative for the appellant, Steve Bardwell, will have the opportunity to make a 15-minute presentation. The representatives for the applicant, Jennifer Jackson, Scott Dawson, and Colette Brown Rodriguez, will also have up to 15 minutes for their presentation. Following the presentations, the board will take public comment. Members of the public will have 3 minutes to present their testimony. In the interest of time, speakers are asked to avoid redundant testimony. When public testimony has concluded, the applicant and then the appellant will each have up to 5 minutes to present closing remarks. Mr. Figueroa will be available to offer comments and respond to any questions raised by the board, and at that point, the chair will close the public hearing and bring the matter back to the board for discussion and action. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. So I will open the public hearing. And Miguel, over to you.
Good morning, Chair Rao, members of the board. Miguel Figueroa here, Land Use Services Director. By my side is David Mack, Planning Manager. Before you have a presentation for the appeal to the Sienna Solar Project, conditional use permit. The detail in this presentation is for the purpose of getting it on record. We want to be clear about that.
Thank you, Miguel. In November 2016, 99MT8ME, now known as Aventis, filed 2 applications for an aggregate total of 450 megawatts on approximately 1,630 acres west of Highway 247. In August of 2017 and February 2018, those applications were deemed complete by Land Use Services Planning. In February of 2019, the Board of Supervisors amended the RECE to add Policy 410, which is the prohibition on utility-scale solar in rural living zoned areas, but included a relocation clause to applications deemed complete may be located to other sites under the same policies and regulations. In late 2021, after public stakeholder meetings, the Sienna Solar Project was relocated to the east side of Highway 247 onto new parcels. Using the relocation clause contained in Resolution 2019-17, the
Revised location now included 27 parcels consisting of approximately 1,854 acres and 525 megawatts. The county confirmed that no separate completeness determinations were required, and the proposal was consistent with the relocation clause. The CEQA notice of preparation was issued in August of 2022 to begin the CEQA processing. A draft EIR was publicly circulated August 30th, 2023 through October 16th, 2023. A revised draft EIR was publicly circulated July 22, 2024 through September 9th of 2024. A total of 18 comments letters were submitted on the revised draft EIR, 2 from state agencies, 2 from local agencies, 4 from individual organizations, and 10 individuals. And finally, the final EIR was posted October 10th, 2025. Excuse me. A planning commission hearing was conducted on October 23rd, 2025, and at that time, the planning commission certified the EIR and approved the conditional use permit. After the planning commission's approval of the conditional use permit, the project was appealed on November 3rd, 2025, within the allowed appeal period by the Morongo Basin Conservation Association et al., which includes 7 total organizations as shown before you. The appeal submitted that the information presented to the Planning Commission was incorrect and misleading. However, the appellant's written submission at the time of filing did not provide any support or evidence to substantiate this claim. The submitted written appeal did not specifically dispute any particular findings, evidence, conditions of approval, or mitigation measures applied to the project. And the submitted written appeal did not provide justification for why the project approval should be overturned. The Sienna Solar Project consists of a conditional use permit to allow utility-scale solar energy and a battery storage system of 525 megawatts each, as I stated before, on 27 parcels consisting of 1,854 acres of land and associated gen-tie lines. It should be noted that approximately 64 miles of gen-tie lines were analyzed through the EIR process, 39 miles in the draft EIR, 12.4 additional miles in the recirculated draft EIR, 13.3 miles in the final EIR. However, only 3 to 5 miles of gen-tie lines will be ultimately developed at the time of construction. The project is located within the Lucerne Valley area. The project site shown with the red lines is located east of Highway 247, south of Northside Road, and west of Camp Rock Road. Midway Avenue and Granite Road provide access to the central areas of the project site. Most of the project parcels are located within the Resource Land Management, RLM, land use designation. However, there are 3 parcels located within the Rural Living, RL land use designation. And again, most of the project parcels are located within the Lucerne Valley Agricultural LV-AG zoning designation. Again, 3 parcels are located within the Lucerne Valley Rural Living RL zoning designation. The overall project consists of a solar energy generation facility of 525 megawatts, a battery storage system of 525 megawatts, contained within 45 acres of the overall site, and gen-tie line runs of 3 to 5 miles with a route to be determined at the time of construction based on input from Southern California Edison. A full set of the plans was found in Exhibit E of the October 23rd, 2025 Planning Commission staff report. The battery energy storage facility will consist, as I said, of 45 acres of land located in the middle of the overall facility and will consist of individual battery cabinets within steel enclosures approximately 10 feet in height and installed in self-supporting rack systems. Each enclosure would also house required heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and fire suppression systems. The actual brand and model of the best components is not yet determined, and the most advanced equipment would be selected and utilized at the time of construction. The project includes an on-site substation with control and transfer equipment that will receive incoming power from the solar arrays. Outgoing electrical power will be conveyed via high-voltage power lines that will be elevated up with the help of intermediate gantry tower support towers and then connected to the proposed Gen-Tie line run. Gantry towers will range from 35 to 65 feet in height. Gen-Tie line towers running 3 to 5 miles will be determined with a maximum tower height of 125 feet. The photo shown is a general depiction of the substation towers, and specific equipment will be selected at the time of construction. The draft EIR contemplated 39 miles, of Gen-Tie line run to allow connection to the future calcite substation, which would be constructed by Southern California Edison through the Public Utilities Commission, CPUC jurisdiction. These original 39 miles of Gen-Tie line options are shown before you in yellow. The recirculated draft EIR contemplated an additional 12.3 miles of Gen-Tie lines, and those are shown in pink. Again, the final Gen-Tie line routing would be 3 to 5 miles and will be determined either after or concurrent with the construction of the Southern California Edison substation. Again, the EIR analyzed potential impacts to all Gen-Tie line runs and did not conclude in any significant unavoidable impacts. The project will operate 24 hours a day, and project operations would be monitored remotely, and periodic maintenance and panel washing will occur throughout the year. Staff determined that the project was consistent with the county-wide policy plan and multiple policies found in the Land Use and Resource Conservation, known as the RECE policy plan. Pursuant to Policy 410, a newly proposed utility-oriented renewable energy project is not an authorized use in the RL land use designations unless the application for development of a renewable energy project has been accepted as complete in compliance with California Code Section 65943 before the effective date of implementation of that resolution. In August of 2017, the Board of Supervisors adopted the RECE, defining goals and policies related to renewable energy. At this time, the RECE included Policy 410, which prohibited utility-scale solar, defined as 10 megawatts or larger in rural living designations. The board adoption of the RECE, however, did not include Policy 410, and the board directed staff to return to the Planning Commission and conduct further study and discussions on this matter. In February of 2019, the Board of Supervisors amended the RECE to include Policy 410. This became the effective date for the application of Policy 410. In the case of Sienna Solar, the project applications were deemed complete prior to adoption of the RECE, Policy 410. During the Planning Commission hearing, there were comments and questions voiced about whether the current project configuration was an altered project from the initial submittal, and did this therefore result in a new project being subject to RECE Policy 410. Just to recap, in August 2017 and February 2018, the initial project applications were deemed complete by LUS Planning. In February of 2019, the Board of Supervisors amended the RECE to add Policy 410, but included a relocation clause for applications deemed complete prior to implementation of the policy. In 2021, after public stakeholder meetings, the Sienna Solar project was relocated to the east side of Highway 247 using the relocation clause contained in Resolution 2019-17. At this time, the county confirmed that no separate completeness was required, and the proposal was consistent with the relocation clause. The county issued letters indicating that the CUP applications on the Sienna project were accepted as complete in August 14th, 2017, and February 27th, 2018. The Sienna project is not subject to Policy 410, as the application for development was accepted as complete by the county prior to the effective date of the policy, and the county determined the project complied with all relocation procedures. As mentioned earlier, the project did complete the CEQA process with the preparation of a draft EIR, which was circulated from August 30th, 2023 to October 16th, 2023. Again, and then completed a revised draft EIR circulated from August of 2024 to September of 2024. The revised draft EIR was required because impacts associated with a proposed CUP calcite substation were added. References were removed to the Stagecoach Solar project, which was intended to construct the substation, and added an additional 12.3 miles of gen-tie line alternatives to the project. A final EIR contained responses to comments and updated appendices was posted on October 10th, 2025, which is in compliance with the required 10-day requirement for publication, and the FEIR was made available to all commenters and public agencies. The EIR process concluded that all project-specific impacts would be less than significant with mitigation measures applied. However, aesthetics is cumulatively considered significant due to this project being a part of more than 10 projects that could occur in the general area. The EIR process and documents did consider the status of State Route 247. At the time the notice of preparation was issued, State Route 247 was not a designated state highway. In fact, the portion of State Route 247 near the project site was discussed and the county designation considered in the revised draft EIR. The aesthetics section of the revised draft EIR, section 3.2, discusses State Route 247 multiple times and acknowledged the current and pending status of State Route 247. Impact 3.2-2 considers impacts to scenic resources within state scenic highways. This analysis acknowledges the county designation ultimately concludes less than significant impact due to potential views to the Sienna Solar Project from the nearest vantage point from State 247 would occur at a distance of more than 1 mile looking east. Due to this distance, combined with intervening topography, as well as elevational differences, views of the Sienna Solar Project would not substantially damage scenic resources in the surrounding vicinity. To offset the potentially significant, unavoidable, cumulative aesthetic impacts, the project offered 8 statements of overriding consideration regarding economic, legal, social, and technological benefits. Prior to the Planning Commission hearing, public notices were mailed in conformance with the requirement of Development Code 8429040. 7 total letters were received at the time, 6 letters in support, and a letter from the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District, which simply outlined permit guidelines for construction and operation. After the publication of the Planning Commission staff report, an additional 10 letters were received on the project and were submitted to the Planning Commission for consideration during their hearing. These are also supplied to the board in the appeal package. Public notices for today's board hearing and appeal were mailed on January 16th, 2026.
Thank you. At this time, this concludes the presentation. We are here to answer any questions. As we know, other presentations will follow.
I think that I do have questions, but I'd like to wait until I hear, if you don't mind, can we do the appellants? Okay, thank you. So at this time, I would like to ask the representatives for the appellant to please come up and present their presentation. They will have 15 minutes. Good morning, Mr. Bardwell.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. Let me see, the advance button is here. There we go. You can also use this if you want. Oh, thank you. That's great. Thanks. Thanks very much. First of all, I'd like to point out that we did not receive this presentation that was just made. This is the first time we've seen it. In the past, it's been our understanding that any presentation that would be provided by the county would be made available to us prior to the actual hearing.
Did you ask for it, just out of curiosity?
I did not.
Okay.
I did. Oh, yeah, pardon me. Yes, I did ask for it. I asked for it on Friday, and I was told that I would receive it, and I did not.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, that's right. So the whole process has been a little bit interesting. So first of all, the previous application did not list all of the appellants, co-appellants on this thing. And they are listed here on this slide. This was not listed on the previous slide that was just presented before, was State Scenic Highway 247 Committee founder Jim Harvey was not mentioned on there, nor was the State Scenic Highway landscape architect Sarah Fairchild mentioned on there. So there was that was incorrect on there. And
it did use the Latin term "at all," which implied that there were more.
They did. However, when they're going through and then listing them all, showing them all, they did not list those last two on that slide. So it's just, we want to be as particular as we can on these things. So
thank you.
We're appealing this because we feel that it does indeed violate REC 4.10. The status of Scenic Highway 247 was withheld, and inaccurate information about the project was given to the County Planning Commission. We contend also the project does not meet CEQA requirements definition, i.e. being accurate, stable, and finite. And the environmental analysis of air quality, et cetera, is not, and water use is not complete and somewhat inaccurate. It doesn't. The provided dust mitigation measures that are included in here are not accurate, and the cumulative impacts of this development, we believe, have not been identified. Yeah, and of course, there was a bit of time spent about the history of RECE, but I think it's important to point out that the reason that RECE was passed in the first place was because after a lot of discussions, that it became apparent that the preference for small-scale accessory solar and wind power over utility-scale projects was expressed as a high priority. And this really is not being satisfied with this development. Concerns about the environmental quality, particularly stable desert soils, stronger desires to limit large-scale renewable energy to disturbed lands, and long-term compatibility issues about dust control and water consumption. So this is kind of gets to the nut of it on this thing. Talking about this, the whole idea of this Section 3 that was slipped into this loophole that was dropped into the RECE, an application for development of a renewable energy generation project, and the fact that these applications may then be relocated to other sites under the same policies and conditions. Well, we've given a lot of thought to that, and really, what is an application? An application is made for a project and includes the description of the use of the project, the area of the site location of the project, the size of the site, and exact description of what is being proposed. So there is no application that was been prepared specifically for this project. In fact, there was in doing our research, we concur that Section 3 of the resolution was intended, and this is per an email that we've come across, an exchange between the chair here and Chuck Bell out in Lucerne Valley on September of 26th, 2022, that it seems like the intent of this section was to be a like-for-like swap. In other words, okay, so if you've made an application, you're going to move it, that's fine. But it should be a like-for-like. If you're going to make the swap, it should be the same project. You're going to put the same number of megawatts on the same area in another location. And the fact that this is what is being proposed is not the same is really our contention, where it is subject to the limitations of the RECE. I mean, for instance, there were project numbers of 2016 for Sienna East and West, project numbers 2017 for North and South, and then at the time they were combined and moved, there's a project number of 2022. With a project number of 2022, it's clearly after the RECE was passed, so that's an indication of why we really believe it's not the same application. It doesn't match the power output, it doesn't match the acreage, and it doesn't match the solar technology of it. Here's a little quick go-through of what's happened. Here was the 2016 project dispersed over quite a large area east of west of Highway 247, 646 acres, 150 megawatts. And then it morphed into a development which would have 974 acres, 300 megawatts. And then they were combined, and we are not able to find any, we put in a public information request about this, and we're never able to find a description of a project number having been assigned for this combination of these parcels. But then ultimately, it gets shifted over to here. A significantly larger footprint, 1,854 acres, as opposed to 1,620. (525 megawatts, 525 megawatts of battery storage, and the 52 miles of Gentile lines is incorrect. It's actually between 3 and 5. But one can see that it's a really significantly different project. There was no application made for this project, and that's where really the gist of this thing. The whole character of this project differs significantly from the other project. Look at the size of the footprint on this thing. And as we get into this a little further, I'll talk about a couple of other items that I think are appropriate on there that haven't been analyzed properly. So this is just sort of a recap of the same thing. Why was not a previous a project number used? Why was it 2022? It's because we contend it was a new, different project. And of course, this was really disturbing to us and kind of alarming. It kind of kicked us into gear in this thing, saying, what is going on here? This Highway 247, there'll be some other speakers on this today, after nearly 20 years of study, it was designated as, and has been designated as, a state scenic highway. You can see the 4 different sections from Lucerne Valley up to Barstow, east of Lucerne over towards Johnson Valley, and 2 more sections heading down into Yucca Valley. So interesting. So this was on September 4th, 2025. Almost 50 days, 49 days before the Planning Commission hearing. Why was this not revealed during the Planning Commission? I mean, this is really, there's been a lot of effort. The chair is aware of how much effort's gone into this thing and the commitment of the community to get this designated as a scenic highway. So the fact that it was not discussed after all this length of time, it really is just, what is going on? Why did that happen? Why was it not? It's obviously a significant consideration. This is a real asset to the county, having a scenic highway designation. This is and those of you that have driven that area are aware of how glorious that landscape is. This gives a sense of how much visibility, and this we contend the previous presentation just given about the lack of visibility of the site from the highway is incorrect. This is an analysis that was prepared showing the visibility of Sienna as a particular height structure within the landscape from various parts of the valley. The yellow line indicates from where one would be able to see the project. And in designating the highway as a scenic, the application to Caltrans to have it designated as scenic went into extreme detail in terms of establishing just how many visual intrusions were included within the landscape before it would become, allowing it to become designated as a scenic highway. So you can see it's a huge amount. I mean, we haven't done a calculation on it, but certainly the leg going north from Lucerne Valley to Barstow, it's, nearly, could be well over half of it. This exhibit also shows the visibility of this site from the various areas. So everywhere in that shaded brick color, you will be able to see this site. That includes nearly 2,761 homes, thereabouts, our calculation, or approximately 7,500 people are going to be able to see this thing. So it's a significant impact on here. Talking then about some of the issues during the hearing of the Planning Commission, we were really, as I said, kind of concerned about the whole process of the Planning Commission. We won't go into it a great deal here, but just the way that this occurred. There were questions that were lobbed out. So Mr. Mack was asked, is this located to somebody's house? He said, no. However, actually, there are 43 homes right near this project. So it gives gave a wrong interpretation of what we're actually what this project would actually do. You can see Scenic Highway 247 to the west of the project there. Also within this Planning Commission hearing, there was a question by Commissioner Gongora asking, he says, well, how are we going to control the dust on this thing? And Mr. Mack indicated, well, we're going to fence the project. Well, we really wondered about that. Here's an example. You can see this. There's a video link here, and I hope, commissioners, you've had a chance to look at that link, because it gives a really frightening idea of just how much dust can be created by this. You can see on the left of that the fence that is put up in order to ostensibly control dust from the site. Well, it's just terrible. You can see how much dust is there, and as you look at the video, it gets really significantly worse even. So here's some sites that just to sort of show what the potential for dust is. Here's a view of Lucerne Valley. You can see the actual dust coming up off there. There's a lot of concern about dust with the Owens Valley Lake when the LA Department of Water and Power. Ultimately, they found that the only way to control the dust is to put down a gravel layer on the site. And we haven't seen anything like that as something that's going to be required. Here's a slide that we prepared showing the locations of sensitive receptors around the project. For instance, to the south and east of the project, about 3,500 feet away, is Midway Park, a place where young children will be gathering and playing. In the event of a dust storm, look at how they're going to be right in the leeward of the dust that's going to be hitting there. So it's really something that
30
needs
seconds
to be
remaining.
Oh my gosh.
If I may pause,
Yeah.
because you and I had a dialogue that lasted about a minute, may I ask the clerk to add an additional minute? So it'll be a minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, here's sites of it, views of the site from there. Here's the 2 solar projects in Lucerne Valley. You can see that dust is created from the 2 solar projects up Camp Rock Road, Agincourt and Marathon. It's been, that's where the dust is, so we know that it comes from the solar project. Avantis is also doing a project they're very proud of out near Boron. There's been a lot of concern about the dust that's created there. We've really believed this has not been thoroughly thought out in terms of what's happening. There's a lot of questions that remain about what is really being proposed here. How about the Gentile lines within the scenic view shed of 247? They are required to have a specific approval by Caltrans in order to facilitate their approval. So we don't think there's a lot of questions that have not been answered within this within the CEQA analysis. Here's, like, for instance, Gentile. How can we have so many Gentile? Why aren't they
30
tied
seconds
down?
remaining.
Here is the interior of the project that should have been considered as a solar development, which is going to happen. This is what should be done. Put solar out on the parking lots here with this discretionary money that's being allocated recently. Cover your here for our union workers here. Put them to work building that. And lastly, the decommissioning of the project has not been set.
That's time.
Thank you very much, and I will address the decommissioning because I have that question as well. The applicant may now come up, and for their presentation, they will have 15 minutes.
Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Will Gagan, and I am a Senior Manager of Development at Avantis. Joined with me today is Jennifer Jackson. She's the Director of Permitting for Avantis as well. And I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for this opportunity to respond to the appellant's concerns and claims. We really just want to use this time to address each one of them directly, and then also just remind the board of our project and the overall net positives that it will bring to the community. So at Avantis, we have been around since 2009. We specialize on developing solar and battery storage projects within California, but we also work in Nevada, Arizona. We've developed 25 plus projects, and we currently have another 65 projects that we're working on in the desert southwest of the United States. 2 projects that we've worked on, one is about 800 megawatts of solar in Imperial County, and then we've also worked on a project that was 2 gigawatts of combined PV and storage in Kern County. So we are experts in this field, and we are very proud of the work that we do, and we also take pride in speaking with residents, getting involved in the community, and engaging and listening to the concerns of others. So David Mack's presentation already touched on this, but just as an overview, our project is located in the Lucerne Valley. We are 1.3 miles east of Highway 247. This approval is for up to 525 megawatts of PV and up to 525 megawatts of BESS. And the point of interconnection is at the proposed calcite substation, which is yet to be built. And then lastly, the EIR studied many different Gentile routes, but the project only expects to use about 4 to 5 miles to get from our proposed project to where calcite is going to be built. And then lastly, the maximum height of a Gentile pole would be at most 125 feet in the air. Many different considerations were taken for the siting of the project. David's presentation as well talked a lot around the history of where it was originally proposed, and then once we spoke with the community and decided that it would be best if it was moved east of Route 247 and set back significantly. The main reason there was based on discussions with locals, but then also to minimize the visual impacts from Route 247, which at the time was just a proposed scenic highway. So we were very much aware that that was something that we needed to mitigate. Okay, so the majority of this presentation will be walking through point by point what MBCA, Morongo Basin Conservation Association, what they claimed and why we believe that it is false or inaccurate or just a misrepresentation of what we're actually doing here. So their first point was that the project is subject to RISI Policy 4.10. Our response to that is that the project meets the board's vesting provisions and is not subject to RISI 4.10. The reason for this is because we amended the existing CUPs and we did not file a new application. Land Use Services Department supported the relocation of the Sienna project from the original location in accordance with the board's authorization that an accepted application may be relocated to other sites and still be subject to the same pre-existing policies and regulations. Further points why we are essentially the exact same project is because we are the same applicant. We have the same queue positions with the California Integrated System Operator, also known as CAISO. We propose to interconnect at the same point, which is the CalSite substation. We maintain the same county trust fund and substantially the same size and capacity. I will first touch on the fact that it's not same, it's like to like. So the amount of acres that we had initially, to find an exact replica would be near impossible. So we took the size of the previous project and we found parcels on the east side of 247 that were as close as possible to match that initial size of the project. The second point I want to touch on is that the approval of the Sienna project is inconsistent with the designation of Highway 247 as a scenic highway and result in loss of miles of inspiring desert vistas and triggers the need for a recirculation of the EIR. So there's three main points to that. The first one is that we're inconsistent with the designation, which to that point, we are saying that the approval of Sienna is not inconsistent with the designation. Also, there will not result in loss of miles of inspiring desert vistas, and it does not trigger the need for a recirculation of the EIR. There's been a visual analysis done when you're traveling either north or south on Route 247, and you can barely see the project. It's over a mile from the closest parcel within our project is over a mile away from 247, and we actually didn't include the visual in this presentation because it actually is really, really hard. Like you cannot even distinguish of before the project is there versus the after the project is there. It looks like a speck. So the next point of the project will result in the loss of miles of inspiring desert views. The claim, it's inaccurate and unsupported by any facts. And then lastly, the scenic highway does not require recirculation. So the EIR already discloses that Highway 247 is a special resource and specifically acknowledged that Highway 247 is in the area of Sienna and that it was eligible at the time. In fact, in the EIR, after the EIR was released, Caltrans officially designated the highway as a scenic highway, and that did not deprive the public from commenting on the views impacted by Highway 247. The next point I want to talk about is dust. And we fully acknowledge that dust is a quality of life concern for these types of projects. it's clear that dust is already an issue out there before the project is built, and we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that our project and the construction of it does not increase that problem. So we will have to adhere to the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District, and we will also have to adhere to the San Bernardino County Development Code. This includes that we'll be submitting a comprehensive dust mitigation and control plan. And so that will include various ways that we will reduce airborne dust and potential impacts, such as watering active roadways, leaving as much topsoil and vegetation in place, minimizing grading. We will also reduce construction and soil disturbances during windy months, so that's typically November to June. We will work within small 20-acre segments, so basically moving slowly rather than leaving disturbed land open that can get lifted up in gusts. Another consideration is applying 4 inches of gravel on the surface and other erosion control measures. Lastly, we will be hosting training sessions and making sure that employees are aware of all these requirements. And also, we could install dust monitoring equipment that basically helps determine when the wind is blowing and when we really need to go into the procedure that helps protect not only the workers, but also people that live and drive around this area. Another point made by MBCA was that the project has not been sufficiently defined to warrant its approval. We sit here today and we can confidently say that the project description is accurate, stable, and finite, all in accordance with CEQA. CEQA requires that an EIR be prepared with sufficient degree of analysis to provide decision makers with the information that enables them to make a decision that intelligently takes account all the environmental consequences. So a few points that I wanted to raise around that is the confusion around the GenTie routes. So in CEQA, you study many different routes with the understanding that it will be just one, and it will be the most direct one to get from where the project is located to where it interconnects to the grid. So the final route does not need to be selected prior to CEQA review. Another point is that the actual technology, so whether it's a fixed tilt or a tracking PV module, that also does not need to be selected prior to CEQA being complete. And then lastly, the appellant brought up that it's just a concept of a project. But we already know that there will be a BESS component, and we have a general idea of where within the footprint the BESS will be located. But that will be finalized prior to building permits being pulled for the project. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about that the appellant brought up that the EIR does not properly analyze cumulative impacts. Our response to that is that the cumulative impacts are properly discussed and analyzed within the EIR. The EIR provides an extensive discussion of cumulative impacts, which includes a discussion of the impacts of the Sienna project in combination with other past, present, and foreseeable future projects. As of our knowledge, the Stagecoach project and the Ord Mountain project have both been withdrawn. Permitting activities on both of those have not been done since 2018. And then also each of those projects had to have queue positions with California ISO, and those have been withdrawn as well. So right now, our project is the only one that is proposed to interconnect at the CalSite substation. So those were our direct responses to MBCA's concerns. And I just wanted to take a few seconds to acknowledge all of the work that went into getting us to here today. So we've been actively involved with community engagement. We've attended many Lucerne Valley Economic Development Association meetings where we speak with locals, we speak with them, and we listen to their concerns. And that's really the genesis of how we moved from west of 247 to east of 247. We've held community open houses. We have spoken with local government and civic organizations. These are just some of the different organizations that we've partnered with and that we've worked closely with over these many, many years. And they all support this project as well. Lastly, we have many people here today who will be speaking in support of our project. A lot of those are various labor unions, and they are going to touch on the amount of jobs that this creates and that this will be a really great use for them to be able to work locally and stay closer to home. But these on the screen, you can see just our various letters of support that we've received from some of the unions. And then lastly, so during peak construction, we estimate that there will be about 500 construction jobs. After the project is built, we're anticipating up to 15 full-time, up to full-time jobs, period. And then some of the local revenues. So this project anticipates about $224 million in combined tax revenues. And then also there'll be a $14 million in public safety services impact fees that will be paid over the course of the project. So thank you, everyone. We're here to answer all of your questions, and we appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you very much. We're going to take public comment now, so we'll come back to any questions of land use services or the appellant or the applicant. A couple of announcements from me. We have a lot of speakers here today, both in our remote conferencing sites as well as in chambers. Again, as it was announced earlier, if your comments can be brief, that would be appreciated. Sometimes it's a privilege of the chair to limit the public comment speaking time to less than 3 minutes. I am not going to do that today. We have a lot of our residents that drove down from Lucerne Valley in morning traffic down the pass to be here to have what will to them be not very much time to speak. So public comment time for this item stands at 3 minutes. We will not break for lunch. If Board of Supervisors need to recess to the anteroom behind us, there are TVs and speakers in there where we can hear all of the testimony that is being given. When we do get to items not on today's agenda for general public comment, that I am going to limit to 2 minutes for the balance of the meeting, but that will be after this public hearing. So with that, we will move to our remote teleconferencing sites first. We're going to go out to Joshua Tree, where we will begin with David Fick, followed by Janet Johnson and Lorraine Turk. If we could ask those in chambers to silence their cell phones, that would be greatly appreciated, please. Good morning, Mr. Fick.
Good morning, Supervisors and Chair Don Rao. I'm David Fick, 40-year resident of Joshua Tree, 20-year board member of MBCA, and I have a history with Avantis in the sense that we greatly followed their incursion and solar project called Arantina at Boron. And that project was given they were one of 14 shovel-ready projects when the Western Joshua Tree Preservation or Conservation Act went through. They were not shovel-ready. They didn't even have the parcels figured out which ones they were going to develop, which were south and west of Boron, which was upwind of Boron. They decided to destroy 4,000 Joshua trees amongst the grassland area because that was the most expedient thing to do and they could get away with, which they did. They don't have the water, which they said they would have. They still don't have. They're scrambling for that water for that project. Speaking of water, BLM recommends that you have about 5,000 gallons of water spread per acre per day for dust suppression, and that's barely capable. So it's evident that Avantis will do anything they can get away with. That's pretty much the basic way it happens. I'm disappointed that the county planning is saying that they should deny the project. That's, before they have all the facts going on. And it's just a shame of this project going forward when it's a scattered mess in Lucerne. I think your planning commission, which was only 3 people, by the way, one One was absent and one excused himself before they decided on item 5, which was this project. So I think it's a failure on the county to bend over backwards for this project. I think you should not deny the appeal like your county planning staff is saying, that you should go ahead and approve this appeal. It's the best thing to happen for Lucerne Valley. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Janet Johnson, followed by Lorraine Turk, and then Pat Flanagan.
Hello, my name is Janet Johnston. I live in Joshua Tree and I'm a director of MBCA. We consider Lucerne Valley our cousin up the road. We like to stop into the market whenever we go to Big Bear or Apple Valley. I am very concerned about dust from this proposed project, ruining the health of those living in Lucerne Valley and even those passing through. Our close friend drove between Mojave and Boron past the Aratina site about a year ago, and the dust was everywhere. He ended up wheezing and having a pounding headache and burning eyes for 4 horrible days. This was just from driving by. So here is a short video. Hope this works. It's a 1.5-minute video showing how bad the dust can get and how the fences that they claim will help stop the dust don't seem to work.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. We received some comment letters on this. I just want to narrow in on some from the residents, and I'm probably sure you've seen these in the applicant about how to avoid blowing dirt and sand, the lake effect that we've experienced with these projects in the past, and the placement of the batteries. So I just wanted to make sure these things were considered as a part of the process.
Absolutely, they were, I believe, analyzed during the CEQA review period also. Project will be fenced, which should reduce dust mitigation.
Shall we thread through this muck? That we don't get past ballot time. That's the fence that Victoria says we have put up a fence that will stop it from blowing. All that. I don't recall. Oh, and she even posted it. Oh my God. That Valley Center? Oh, it's getting awful. Oh my God, the people here. Oh.
So, okay, let's let this happen to Lucerne Valley. They already have enough dust to deal with from the existing solar fields. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lorraine Turk, followed by Pat Flanagan and Eric Menendez.
I'm hearing. Hi, I'm Lorraine. Hello, supervisors. I'm Lorraine Turk, also on the board of the Morongo Basin Conservation Association and a resident of Joshua Tree. I just want to open with the acknowledgement that I recognize that you as supervisors in this particularly huge and unwieldy county have many issues to deal with, especially with the larger populations in the non-desert parts of the county. And I thank you for trying to handle so many pressing issues. I would not want your job. But frankly, I hope that someday the desert has its own supervisorial district where our particular needs can be understood and attended to more knowledgeably. But this case of the Sienna Solar Project approval is another case of sacrificing the well-being of desert residents. The Renewable Energy Conservation Element, Section 410, passed on February 28, 2019, as part of the entire countywide plan, as has been discussed. It was supposed to protect rural residents from exactly the negative effects of what this project will bring, requiring consideration of how large solar projects out here in our desert can negatively affect the lives of us desert residents. By allowing this Sienna project to be considered as if it were the first of the 3 Avantis proposals is an action in opposition to the goal of our ECE 410, despite the county's subsequent decisions about it, in our opinion. That said, I hope the many facts brought out in the presentation today and by my fellow desert residents to come will convince you to approve the appeal and send the project back for reconsideration as a new project, which it is. The swift approval of this project based on earlier plans that have been altered significantly from earlier iterations will end up being much more harmful to the community of Lucerne Valley in this third iteration and should be appealed. Now, you know that all of us objecting are for solar, but by expansion on rooftops and in locally developed smaller projects called distributed solar, not huge and harmful, landscaping, who cares about the desert type of projects. We ask your vote in favor of our appeal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pat Flanagan, followed by Eric Menendez, and then we'll bring it here in chambers for our speakers here.
Good morning, supervisors. Should I start? Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good morning, supervisors. My name is Pat Flanagan. I'm also on the board of the Morongo Basin Conservation Association, and I have been commenting on solar projects since I was first overwhelmed by blowing dust from the initial one that was built in Joshua Tree National, adjacent to Joshua Tree National Park. Climate change is a real problem, and solar power is much needed in our state, nation, and world. However, utility solar power plants are large and impactful and can severely harm fragile desert environments and surrounding communities when irresponsibly executed. The county understood this when it and county supervisor developed the renewable energy and conservation element, which built on the county-wide vision statement and was adopted by the board in 2011. I think the 410 was put there to be sure that we listened to the core values and the vision statement. So from the vision statement, we would encourage community-oriented renewable energy generation facilities with emphasis and priority given to rooftop and parking lot installations of solar energy systems. We would keep large scale, that's 10 megawatts or greater, utility-oriented projects separate from or sufficiently buffered from existing communities to avoid adverse impacts on community development and quality of life. We would encourage local renewable energy production to meet local energy demand while allowing excess energy to be sold to the grid. In this case, local gets nothing. We would provide residents more affordable, reliable, diverse, and safe access to energy, especially renewable energy. The energy from this project goes straight into the grid. We have to emphasize and promote energy efficiency and the utilization of rooftop and other on-site accessory generation, such as you saw in the Lucerne Valley market. I think it is we do not know the dust problem currently in the area, and Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District doesn't either because there are no measurement devices. It is important to even thinking about this, that we install ambient air monitors in order to then see what is already going on. Because the ambient air monitors are not there now, and there are no purple air monitors there now that can measure the ambient air. AQMD seems to think we're fine. They're wrong.
That's time.
I think that it's imperative to
Pat, we're out of time.
Agree with this appeal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last speaker in the Joshua Tree conferencing site is Eric Menendez. We do not have anybody in the Hesperia site, so we'll bring it back here to chambers.
Hello,
Our
Eric
first
Menendez,
three speakers.
29 Palms resident. At the countywide
Eric.
vision and looking at Pat actually countywide vision, and Lorraine spoke of sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. But anyways, I think what we need to do is we need to look at the countywide vision. We need to look at, does this benefit the health and well-being of the residents? And for that, I think as a nurse, I speak on the health impacts of dust, blowing dust. It causes so many respiratory problems, so many potential for cancer. There are just so many health hazards to this and mitigation. I think the size and scope of this project and the fact that it was kind of altered from and changed, and I think this should be a new project. And when you look at all the effort that's gone into making the scenic highway for Route 247, I mean, that's something that a lot of people in the desert and the Lucerne Valley have taken great pride in. And although the developer says, oh, you're not going to see it from the highway and so forth, it's easy to say that now when you're looking over there. But I don't know if you've ever flown to Vegas or driven the highway where you see those solar farms from miles and miles away, you know, because once they start reflecting the sun and so forth, they're an eyesore. And again, I'm not saying the benefits of solar, you know, we understand that, but I think in this case, I think please refer to the countywide vision and just make sure you make the right decision on behalf of the residents of the desert. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to bring it back here and start with Ben Pratt, and then we're going to go to Louis Lopez, followed by David Smith. Ben, I picked on you because you were near the podium.
Thank you, Supervisor. And I think it's still morning. Good morning, Supervisors and members of the public. My name is Benjamin Pratt. I currently serve as Vice President of the IBW Local 477. We are the power professionals here in San Bernardino, Inyo, and Mono counties. We're talking about 300 to 400 jobs provided by this project for electricians alone, not to mention the other trades in this room. When I speak to my members about what the challenges are they face as being high desert residents, they say that, as Advantis alluded to earlier, that they're constantly having to travel and leave the I-15 corridor for work. Again, these are high desert residents that want to work where they live. They have families, they have mortgages. So please do not discount us and let us eat cake by doing small rooftop solar that does not address the need. The need being grid expansion, which equals affordability for ratepayers. To me, this is a cut and dried case. There are needs that need to be met. The men and women in this room are here to meet those needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Louis Lopez, followed by David Smith, and then Karen Smith.
Good morning, Supervisors, community, staff. My name is Louis Lopez. I'm a business agent for the Ironworkers Local 433, and we're in support of this project. Primary reason is humanity, the human needs, okay? It's projects like this where I'm able to bring in folks, young men and women from our community, whether through the Workforce Development Board with customers like Operation New Hope. I work with the probation departments. When they call me and say, hey, Louis, I've got a guy or a gal, been doing everything they've been asked to do. What can we do? Okay? It's these jobs where I'm able to help them out so that those individuals don't go back to crime or whatever reason they were on probation for. Here's one dear to my heart because I served 2 tours in the Marine Corps. I'm able to bring out our veterans through helmets to hard hats and with the help of the Workforce Development Board into a direct entry. So those men and women come back because I know how it is. When I came back, I didn't know, I was dealing with a lot of wounds that most people can't see. I am rated as a disabled veteran due to that. But it's projects like this that help put these kids, young women and men, in our apprenticeship program. And our apprenticeship program needs to continue supporting these individuals. It's like going to college, okay? It's a 4-year, and these those 4 years, they do have transferable credits to go to traditional college. But these men and women start out at anywhere from $25 an hour up with benefits. And that's because they are going to special training. Okay, it's just like anybody in here that has kids and sends them to college, you expect when they get their degree to have a good paying job with some benefits. It's the same thing. They're going through a 4-year college. By the time they get out, they're up in the $40 to $50 an hour package with benefits. That right there helps support the community because whatever they earn, they spend. Okay, where do they spend it at? In our communities. Helping local businesses. I'm very passionate about this. And I ask that this Board of Supervisors helps not just the ironworkers, but the rest of the trades here today in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. David Smith, followed by Karen Smith, and then Bob Howells.
Yes, my name is David Smith, and I live in Lucerne Valley. And I'd like to ask that the supervisors take a trip and take the Planning Commission, all the Planning Commission with it, because they need to see that. Take a trip out up to Barstow and go west on the 58 highway towards Mojave. You get 7 miles out of Mojave. It's nothing but, they're putting nothing but solar in all the way past Mojave, both sides of the highway, probably 2-3 miles in on both sides of the highway. And it goes from 7 miles out of Mojave and all the way west. I don't know how far west it goes, but now they're also starting to add solar panels on the 14 freeway south of Mojave. And I don't know how far that's going to go, but I've gone out there, and every time I go out there, it just gets bigger and bigger. Now, if you go out there and look at that, is that what we want for San Bernardino County to be the same thing? Pretty soon, Mojave is going to be surrounded by nothing but solar panels and windmills on the west side. And if they approve this project, and then they approve the substation, the next company that wants to come in and put another project, which I heard is they already want to, 55 or 5 square miles near the same area. This is like crazy. I don't know if anybody else wants it. I mean, if you put it down in Fontana along the 15 freeway and down along Sierra, I know that you'd get all those people that you built houses for would be complaining about the solar. And the other thing I'd like to ask is, what do they do with these solar panels when they are no good? When they lose their potency? There's no place they can dispose of them. They're toxic. They say they can't put them in a regular dump, so what do they do with them? Just pile them up on a street somewhere and let everything get ruined? And who pays for all this when these places decide they're not?
That's time.
Thank you, sir. Karen Smith, followed by Bob Howells and Steve Mills.
Hi, my name is Karen Smith. I've lived in Lucerne Valley for over 20 years. My daughter, my granddaughter, grandson, and great-granddaughter would all like to live here too. And I'm a city girl, came here and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm on vacation every day. It's so wonderful here. And I took the time about 8 years ago to take a photograph of 40 acres that was cleared off. And today, 8 years later, there still is nothing growing on it. And here is the picture. And this area right here still has nothing on it. So when you clear that land for your solar panels, nothing will ever, ever, ever grow back on it. And then I'd also like to touch on the dust. None of us in this room were here when the in the 30s when the dust literally ruined Central America and they had to move out of it. And 7,000 people died. And I've lived here long enough to know that the wind that blows here, it in fact blew the roof off of my house. And so you cannot say that you can stop the wind that's going to happen when you scrape off that land. And in closing, I'd like to tell all of you people from the union that both my husband and I were in the union. We retired from the union. We never, ever did any work that hurt another human being like the work that your temporary jobs are going to do to where we live and want to retire, and so do my offspring. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bob Howells, followed by Steve Mills, and then Catherine Howells.
My name is Bob Howells. I'm a writer and a fifth-generation native of the high desert. Last October, I spoke before the Planning Commission expressing my concern about the Sienna Solar industrial development, fearing that it would kill the dream of making State Route 247 a state scenic highway. Little did we know that the scenic highway had already been approved. That fact alone is reason enough to grant this appeal and kick the proposal back to the Planning Commission. Why? Land Use Services is telling you that the final EIR, the Planning Commission staff report, and the October 25th public hearing were, quote, not erroneous in nature and not misleading to the public or decision makers. Well, of course they were erroneous. Of course they were misleading. They make no mention of the existence of the approved state scenic highway. That be said, we're really delighted about the state scenic highway approval. But if Sienna Solar and the Edison substation are developed, there's no way this stretch of road will remain scenic, no matter what the signs say. I wrote about 247 years ago in a book I wrote, Backroads of Southern California. But your own director of Land Use Services may have expressed its beauty better than I did. To quote from his letter of intent to Caltrans, this stretch of State Route 247 provides an immersive journey through nearly untouched desert terrain, where the absence of urban development allows for uninterrupted views of the Ord Mountains and surrounding desert, iconic Joshua trees, striking rock outcrops, and diverse mountainous landscapes. This route is a trip through time unlike any others. Thank you, Land Use Services. But I'll add to that quote. It's a trip through time unlike any other until you bear north toward Barstow from Lucerne Valley and come upon thousands of acres of industrial blight, including a roadside power substation, 5-story battery towers, and a vast maze of transmission lines. There's not a plausible word in the entire EIR that suggests these impacts can be mitigated. A project like Sienna Solar promises the illusion of jobs and economic gain, but that's just what it is, an illusion. One and done, up go the panels and away go the jobs. Let's not fall for this trap. Let's preserve the beauty of our scenic highway and reap those benefits, lasting benefits for years to come. As for jobs, let's promote installation of rooftop and parking lot solar and reap the benefits of actual steady work. I urge you to approve the appeal.
Thank you very much. Steve Mills, followed by Catherine Howells, and then Gregory Temple.
My name is Steve Mills. The EIR has so many holes in it that it cannot be certified. It fails to consider one of the chief growth-inducing effects of Sienna and the Edison substation. They'd be the opening gun for industrialization of the desert. They would spur a self-perpetuating cycle of large-scale regional development. I do disagree with what we heard earlier about Stagecoach, which is on state lands and in the jurisdiction of the State Lands Commission being withdrawn. The EIR fails to consider whether the existing Pisgah-Lugo transmission line and infrastructure would have the capacity or reliability to carry all the electrons generated by Sienna and other projects that would spur onto Los Angeles. Edison would cite Sienna as justifying its construction of all sorts of new transmission infrastructure and attempt to revive the highly controversial, intensely opposed Coolwater Lugo transmission project. We all know what that would mean. Still more line upgrades, more towers, more substations that would have to be strung across Lucerne Valley all the way through Hesperia and beyond. Yet the project EIR fails to analyze the growth-inducing cumulative impacts. The EIR fails to consider that because Sienna is arrayed in a dispersed, sprawling, roughly circular pattern, it would effectively degrade a much larger area than the project's 18 or so acres. It would crisscross the area with miles of genti and feeder lines, effectively repurposing northern Lucerne Valley as an industrial zone. The EIR does not consider Sienna's and Edison's effect on residential zone parcels and homes in the midst of and adjacent to the parcels that would make up Sienna. It doesn't consider reflected glare. The EIR is deficient because some of Sienna's most important details remain to be decided, which has come out in the presentation today, like where transmission lines and rights-of-way would go, how many miles it would be in, transmission would be installed, exactly how high the lines would be, what dust mitigation measures are supposedly going to be put in place, how many transmission towers there'd be, and how much transmission would be put underground. It's like handing the developer a blank check. The EIR fails to consider that if Sienna and the substation are green-lighted, Lucerne Valley and its environments would once and for all become Solar Valley. We ask that the supervisors stop that from happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Catherine Howells, followed by Gregory Temple, and then Peter Martinez.
My name is Catherine Howells, and I've been a part-time resident of Lucerne Valley for nearly 40 years. I want to address the subject of cumulative impact of the Sienna Solar Project, specifically the aesthetic impact. The final EIR occasionally lapses into clarity and addresses that. To quote from section 5.3.1, the utility scale size of the Sienna project would contribute to this cumulatively considerable aesthetic impact. This contribution is considered significant due to the large area proposed for solar development and associated gentile lines in the context of the valley, end quote. The EIR goes on to downplay the additional impact of the Edison substation, implying that since only 7 acres would be developed, that's somehow okay. That it would be, quote, absorbed into the broader landscape. But let's look at what those 7 acres would comprise. A sprawling substation, a 5-story battery tower, miles of genti lines, and an unspecified number of 125-foot genti towers, all directly adjacent to a state scenic highway. Imagine if this industrial project were proposed beside a different scenic highway, California Highway 1. Imagine driving north toward Big Sur from San Simeon and seeing thousands of shimmering solar panels at the base of the Santa Lucia Mountains. 2,000 acres of meadows scraped down to bare earth, miles of newly carved roads, and right next to the highway, a power substation, 5-story battery structures, and an array of lines and towers. That would never be approved. But somehow, our desert landscape is regarded as expendable. You know, it's only desert. So why is the cumulative aesthetic impact important? Because there would also be a cumulative economic impact. A state scenic highway needs to be actually scenic. Lucerne Valley stands to benefit from generations of travelers exploring the beauty of the high desert. But once word gets out that this route leads directly through an industrial zone, that all goes away. We can't take that risk. The cumulative benefits of a truly scenic highway far outweigh the short-term benefit of an industrial-scale power project that would desecrate our beautiful high desert. Please reject this project.
Thank you. Gregory Temple, followed by Peter Martinez and Thomas Ruiz.
Good afternoon to the supervisors. My name is Gregory Temple, and I heard both sides, the sides that were for the project and the sides that weren't for the project, and I respect all the opinions that went forward. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a 37-year member of the IBW Local 477, and I've worked some of the largest jobs in this nation. I've actually worked on the one that was over there in Daggett, a solar job that went. And I know that there's new technology that's out that can handle pretty much any situation that is put forth there. But what I want to tell you really is I'm actually a first-year lead instructor for the apprenticeship of the IBW, which is the IEETC. And jobs like this, it helps me make my job easier. We've brought in 120 apprentices just in 1 year. When's the last time you've seen a company in San Mario County bring in 120 people at one time, and it's growing? And this is not even including this project right here. And I know everyone has their opinion on whether there are residents there or not. I'm just trying to tell you the impact that it has on our future younger kids. We actually also, too, I just started a cohort of 3 of electrical reentry pathway program, where I have 22 members that are actually were incarcerated not too long ago, and we actually put them through a program, and we get them into the trade. We're not just offering just careers here in the IBW. As a matter of fact, the other unions that you see here, we're changing lives. And projects like this, it helps us to change lives. And the thing is, whether we know it or not, it's starting in the East Coast. This electrical boom is coming our way with AI and all kind of other technology. And this is not going to be the last project that you're going to be faced with. There's a need for electricity, and I was at a conference, and they said even if we start it right now, by the year 2030, we won't even have a sixth of the power that we need just for the AI that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I was told we do have someone in our Hesperia chambers, so we will, after Thomas Ruiz, we're going to go to Hesperia for Michelle Gibson. So up next, we have Peter Martinez, Thomas Ruiz, and then Michelle Gibson out in Hesperia.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Martinez. I'm an iron worker for 25 years. Iron is more than just a career, than just a job. I've seen it myself for 25 years in this career, seeing people become from young men and women to men and women that have established a great sense of loving the trade, what the trade provides for them and what it does. It also has done it for me. I was 18 years old and I've raised my kids. I'm a single father and I raised my 2 sons. And the union provides those things. The jobs that we are asking for, they provide those opportunities for us. I've been a foreman, a general foreman in solar, so I've ran jobs in solar. A lot of the wind issues that I'm hearing about today are issues that do happen. Most of it is due to winds and weather. As far as many jobs that I've worked in different companies, we have stand downs when it gets windy, so we don't create more winds. There's a lot of things that residents don't understand what we do in those jobs to make sure that we do our best to provide less wind, less sand and disturbance to the land when we work them. I have respect for everyone's opinion here. I do appreciate the time that you guys are giving me. And this job is going to provide many opportunities for more people like me and for other women and men. And I think it's going to do great, especially in the Lucerne Valley, that there is really not many work out there. It's going to provide work for residents out there. It's going to provide work for hotels and areas like that as well, because we also use them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thomas Ruiz, followed by Michelle Gibson in Hesperia. And then we'll bring it back here for Isabel Kirshner.
Good morning, Chair Rao and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is Thomas Ruiz. I'm a representative of the Laborers International Union North America, Local 783. We're here today to express our strong support for the Sienna Solar Project. This project that has been a long time coming. I participated in the Reese development many years ago. Something that we knew that would lock us out of the solar work for a very long time. And thanks to some of these projects like this one being grandfathered in, it's gone through the application process. We're here today to push this forward. This project might quite honestly be one of the last solar projects that we see in our area based off of the current administration and the funding and tax credits that go into these things. So it makes this one that much more important. We don't see that much investment go into our desert communities. That is why when we have projects like this come forward, we support them. We work to move them forward so that our members and their families can move forward as well. We did not hear compelling information and opportunities for local residents to learn a skilled trade and build a long-term career. Today, your vote helps preserve supporting good jobs, strong training programs, impact. We respectfully urge you to deny the appeal of this project, and let's get our families back to work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michelle Gibson out in Hesperia, followed by Isabel Kirshner back here, and then Odine Hollander.
Hello, hi, my name is Michelle Gibson, and I am here to express my strong opposition to sensitive species. Industrial scale solar development in this area will permanently destroy habitat, will increase particulate matter in the air, worsening respiratory conditions for residents and harming both people and animals. The plan can truly fix. Additionally, placing these projects along a major highway corridor will permanently alter the rural character of Lucerne Valley, impacting property values, scenic views, and the quality of life for residents who choose this area specifically for its open space and natural landscape. Renewable energy should not be pursued by sacrificing irreplaceable desert ecosystems or the health of rural communities. There are better alternatives, including prioritizing development on already disturbed or industrial land, rooftops, parking structures, and brownfield sites rather than the intact desert habitat. I urge the board to reject or significantly reconsider these solar projects and to place the protection of wildlife, public health, and our desert environment above short-term gains. Lucerne Valley should not be treated as a dumping ground for projects that would never be approved in more densely populated or politically powerful areas. Thank you for your time and for considering the long-term consequences of these decisions.
Thank you very much. Isabel Kirshner, followed by Odine Hollander, and then Melissa Boyd.
Hello. I understand concerns about disruption, and no one likes unexpected changes in their neighborhood. I'm an iron worker apprentice, and this work is necessary to maintain safe, reliable infrastructure that everyone here depends on, homes, businesses, and emergency services included. Our trade follows strict safety, noise, and environmental standards. We're trained professionals, not a temporary or careless crew. We're required to protect surrounding property and restore the area once the job is complete. Our goal is to leave the site better, or at least exactly as we found it. These jobs support local workers, apprentices, and families in this community while ensuring long-term reliability of essential services. This work is temporary work with a clear schedule. We're committed to minimize disruption and finish efficiently. I want to encourage continued efforts to contracting new work for our trade, and as a single mother and a new apprentice, steady job opportunities are essential not just for my success, but for the retaining committed apprentices and strengthening our union long-term. Thank you.
Thank you. Odine Hollander, followed by Melissa Boyd, and then Brian Hammer.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Ondine Hollander. My husband and I live in Mill Pass Highlands, one of the thousands of homes within the scenic viewshed mentioned in the appeal. My neighborhood has a direct sightline to all of Lucerne Valley. The Board of Supervisors adopted Policy 410 because it was determined that utility-scale solar wasn't compatible with rural living and community plan areas like Lucerne Valley. The attempt to grandfather the current version of Sienna past Policy 410 must be rejected. It's clearly not the same project applied for way back when in terms of size, configuration, or output. Sienna is trying to use Policy 410's limited grandfathering exception to do a complete end run around it. Sienna and its not-so-silent partner, Edison and its substation, would be the proverbial camel's nose under the tent flap in turning thriving desert communities into one dusty, ugly, and unlivable energy export zone. Edison and the developers would get to extract all the energy and profits, while our community would be left behind with the resulting destruction, just like the failed Ivanpah solar power plant. This is a raw deal for our communities. The EIR doesn't meaningfully address the long-term cumulative effects of letting Sienna and Edison invade our communities and of allowing an energy development cycle to roar into high gear. The EIR doesn't talk about all the new substations, transmission lines, line upgrades, towers, and other energy transmission infrastructure that would have to be put in from North Lucerne Valley all the way through to Hesperia. Some of that infrastructure would likely run near where I live in Mill Pass Highlands. The EIR also doesn't meaningfully address how all that new transmission infrastructure would spur on further cycles of energy development. Can't you just see Edison and the big developers saying, each time they want to put something new in, this part of the desert already has industrial scale solar and lots of transmission in it. It's already damaged goods. So how's another substation, transmission line, or tower going to hurt anything? And so on and so forth. We're good with solar, especially site-specific solar like the panels on almost every residence in my neighborhood and on commercial buildings like Lucerne Valley Market. And we want the guys here to be able to build it. Successful solar can be done without wrecking our desert communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Melissa Boyd, followed by Brian Hammer, and then Neville Slade.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. Thank you for having us. My name is Melissa Boyd. I'm with Southern California Edison, and we are here to support the Sienna Solar Project. We currently have 54% of our energy comes from renewable resources, and this is going to help the state of California reach its goals of 60% by 2030 and 100% by 2045, which is very ambitious. We are currently in much need of energy resources in the region. As the desert continues to grow, this project is going to bring resiliency, it's going to bring reliability, and it fosters the economic growth that's needed for the high desert region. So we thank you for your time and thank you for your consideration today.
Thank you very much. Brian Hammer, followed by Neville Slade, and then Arch McCulloch.
Hi, my name is Brian Hammer. I am a resident of the high desert for over 40 years. My wife and I own a home very close to this proposed site. I'd like to zoom in on one aspect. So many aspects can be challenged here. Defects in the EIR statements of overriding concerns. These are the 8 overriding concerns. And if I don't get through all these, I suggest you look at them. Project provides 525 megawatts of energy generation and storage. No, it proposes that amount and then goes on to tell you this is our general goals. Even in the Planning Commission hearing, which I spoke at, it was never, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do something like this. We'll decide later. assist in meeting greenhouse gas emission reductions. I don't believe that any of the equipment was checked to see how much greenhouse gas it costs to manufacture that. So there's no way of knowing that. Ripping up native vegetation starts releasing carbon. Without that study, no way of knowing that. Supports California's renewable energy portfolio. What does support mean? All these are really circular reasons. Connects to SCE grid, provides needed for current and future power needs. Rooftop solar connects to SCE grid. We all connect to SCE grid for the most part. What does any of that mean? As it is now, we have an abundance of solar electricity. That solar electricity is given to Arizona, who we have to pay to take that. Yes, we generate electricity, it's sent to Arizona, and we have to pay them to take it. And yet we're sitting here today contemplating building another facility that's going to cost yours and my electric bills to go up. This is a system problem, not a solar site problem. This, as it promotes the county's role as a renewable energy producer. We're nowhere near the top. If you wanted something like that, then that should be looked at another way. It utilizes location close to the proximity of SCE future calcite substation. Yes, well, that was part of the project. So yes,
That's
that
time.
Thank you, sir. Neville Slade, followed by Arch McCulloch, and then Aaron Gatlin.
Thank you to the supervisors for having us talk today. My name is Neville Slade. I'm a local resident, retired from VVC as an Ag and Natural Resource Management professor, RCD board member. So we've been looking at these things for a long time. And I was very honored and fortunate to get involved with a group called the North Face Coalition about 10 years ago, where a lot of the people that spoke today and a whole bunch of people looked at how do we represent the local residents who weren't being represented. And so the supervisors at the time were instrumental in facilitating the SPARK planning process. I think it took a couple of years at least, fact-finding meeting, town hall meetings. We packed in well over 400 people at times into these meetings to find out. And then we came up with this incredible thing, and I just like, okay, I can go home now. Not back to South Africa, but go home, because we had the renewable energy and conservation element. And most of the stakeholders were very pleased with that, and it was a great effort in democracy. And what we're asking here is for that democracy to continue, to listen to the people that are affected. This is not a renewable energy project plan, it's a siting problem. There are so many sites in California that are disturbed. In the renewable energy conservation element, it talks about this. Don't disturb land, especially scrape. You don't even have to scrape all the land. But if you do scrape it, don't do it in a dust bowl, which is what we're doing here. You saw pictures of the dust and sand blow. It's not just dust, it's sand blow. There's houses in Newberry Springs that have been covered up to 4 feet with sand. Just drive out there and look for yourself. So they were looking at previously developed, and not touching undisturbed desert landscaping, and biggest one was not near rural developments. And we have 40 people living out there. Our endangered desert rat, we call them, the people that are just making a go of it out there. And we need to take care of them, and we're asking this group to take care of it. And they've obviously worked the system here to get this approved. There are these designated sites out of Trona and other places that a company of this size could go and do a proper project and do it in the right place at the right time. And in terms of sustainability, I'll just say a couple more things because that's kind of my passion, is economically very little county revenue, really in the big term. Short-term jobs, and I respect the jobs, but I was a vocational education instructor. I respect that a lot, but they're very short.
Thank you, sir. Arch McCulloch, followed by Aaron Gatlin, and then Sarah Henney.
Hi, I'm Arch McCulloch. I live in Morongo Valley, and I'm a board member of Morongo Basin Conservation Association. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak. Yes, if the wind does blow in Lucerne Valley and it blows dust off of even undisturbed land, but it is undeniable that the amount of dust that's blown off is greatly increased by disturbing the land, and by such things as solar projects. And if you doubt that, I would look at the Agincourt and Marathon solar fields that are currently in Lucerne Valley, and even on a just slightly windy day, you will notice the dust blowing off them. Or you can drive Highway 58 out to Boron to the Aratina solar project that was done by this same company, and they dump water on that 3 times daily currently, and it still doesn't control the dust, not anywhere close to it. At the end of 2024, University of California released a study on dust called Beyond the Haze, a UC Dust Report on the Causes, Impacts, and Future of Dust Storms in California. And they talked about a lot of the effects of dust. One of the major ones is health, and exposure to dust is especially to the PM10, the coarser dust but still very fine that often blows off of playas. And it is the whole list of a page worth of possible health problems from that extend from asthma to COPD to eye irritation and the whole mess with that. There's also, since this was formerly agricultural land, there's a lot of finer PM 2.5 dust that blows off that possibly contains the residues of pesticides and herbicides. And that size of particle means that they can be absorbed directly into your body through the lining of your lungs. The other major public health concern is visibility. We saw the film, or at least the stills from it, that showed the dust blowing past the dust control fence. And it's this study related that weather-related accidents are double the fatality rate in dusty areas when dust is present. So one of the previous...
That's time.
Thank you very much. Aaron Gatlin, followed by Sarah Henney, and then Susie Boyd.
Good morning, and thank you. I want to reference previous comments that we heard today, so I'm not repeating them. Comments related specifically to impacts from dust from development in the Lucerne Valley. And note that Sienna 2 is not consistent with SB 1000 related to environmental justice and will be particularly harmful to the residents of Lucerne Valley, a community identified by the state and county as disadvantaged. Environmental justice recognizes that low-income communities and communities of color often bear a disproportionate burden of pollution and the associated health risks when compared to their more affluent neighbors. The Sienna 2 project would exacerbate existing challenges in the Lucerne Valley, as has been noted previously, and is absolutely an environmental justice issue. If the project is allowed to proceed, the county would have failed in its responsibility to protect the residents of Lucerne Valley. This work may be indeed be temporary, as has been noted. The impacts would not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah Henney, followed by Susie Boyd, and then Bill Lembright.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Kennington, a member of the Homestead Valley Community Council's Scenic 247 Committee. HVCC worked with the county and Caltrans over 20 years to nominate the highway for state scenic highway status. The motivation was to formally recognize and protect the world-class scenery and bring tourist dollars into economically disadvantaged communities. Counties nominating a highway must include a corridor protection plan, a CCP. The county's final submission to Caltrans, February 27, 2025, included 247 CPP and a letter of intent signed by Mark Wardlaw, at that time Director of Land Use Services. The letter highlights county code and policy reflected in the CPP. Wardlaw closed, he's been quoted earlier in the day, so he closed his letter with the county values the extraordinary and unique scenic qualities of SR 247 and intends to preserve and promote this special resource for future generations. The Sienna Solar 2 EIR Table ES1, Environmental Impact on Aesthetics, inaccurately assesses the project's adverse effects on the scenic vista and scenic resources within a scenic highway. Conclusions of less than significant are faulty. The EIR conclusions contradict how Caltrans analyzes intrusions in scenic landscape. We worked so hard, mile by mile, to justify that this highway was scenic, truly scenic, and man-made incursions such as this, they cannot be mitigated in the vast desert landscapes of the 247. They can be mitigated, but it's very difficult. Vistas visible from somebody driving in a car, the passengers in a car, can be seen for many miles, dozens of miles. I don't know, I forget. Our landscape architect could tell us. But the location of Sienna Solar 2, just over a mile from the highway, and poles 125 feet, these will be visible. The state scenic highway designation was officially made by Caltrans on September 4th, 2025. The Planning Commission met to consider Sienna Solar on October 23rd, 50 days after Caltrans' approval of the High Desert Highway. The Scenic 247 Committee wasn't notified of this, and why didn't LUS provide the Commission with an analysis of the visual impacts of Sienna Solar 2 would have on the state scenic highway? It's suspicious. The omission of designated state scenic highway was a major flaw in the staff report, the PC's deliberation,
That's time.
and detriment to
Susie Boyd, followed by Bill Lembright, and then Linda Gommel.
Hello, supervisors. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Susie Boyd, and I'm a forest and climate change scientist. And I want you to hear this from the perspective of someone who spent 5 years investing in graduate studies at Oregon State University to study climate change, what influences it, and how we can address it. And I just want to say outright that this project is just one of the biggest boondoggles I have ever heard of in my life, and it does not need to move forward. I had the opportunity to work with some very esteemed professors from UC Riverside. I led the group that produced a technical report, which I shared with you yesterday evening. I'll be happy to speak with any of you collectively or individually about the contents of that report. But in essence, the desert ecosystem is unlike any other ecosystem. And what that means is that when we store, first of all, the carbon storage sequestration in the desert is significant. We store up to 10% of all vehicle emissions in the desert ecosystem in the state of California. When you disrupt that land, when you put a solar project in of this scale and this type, you disturb the soil. And what's unique about the desert is that the carbon, it looks visually barren, but the carbon is stored underground, not above ground. When you disturb it, it takes hundreds to thousands of years to recollect that carbon that was stored. So you are doing not only damage to the vegetation, but you are wreaking havoc as far as carbon sequestration when you disturb these soils. It's all laid out in the report, and I'm happy to share details. I also want to address the economic piece, because that doesn't get addressed enough. This 500 job statistic needs to go away. It is a temporary 12 to 14 month statistic. We will not have our town destroyed so that we can create jobs for 1 year. Okay, the permanent jobs are only they're fewer than a dozen. So it's not adding economically. In fact, it's detracting economically. In Lucerne Valley, our current average home value is $198,000. In 5 years, it's expected to go up to $223,000. That's an increase of 12.62%. Our home values are increasing, and that's a benefit to the homeowners who live here and the county. Also, there was a study done by the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. They analyzed 1.8 million homes. It was published in Energy Policy. I'll be happy to share it with you. When the solar plans go up...
It's time.
Thank you. Bill Lembright, followed by Linda Gommel, and then Lori Steele.
Hello, Bill Lembright. Sorry. Bill Lembright here, a resident of Lucerne Valley for about 45 years, and glad to be here today. Lucerne Valley is populated by a large percentage of God's people. Kind of an unusual situation. It's like a little paradise compared to the congestion and pollution of the cities. So those of us that live there really appreciate that. And when we're threatened by outside forces, we unite. And you can tell by the number of people who are here, a few of which have desired to speak. This project would shatter much of the natural beauty and charm of our desert home. And so here we are, riled up. Our property values, those of the neighbors to these projects, our experience is they drop by half when these solar farms go in. That's our life savings, you guys. It's like has been said by several, this goes on for the rest of our lives. It's not just a couple of years. Also, we'd like projects like this to be relocated to areas where there are already solar industrial parks, like over at Harper Dry Lake. If you haven't been there, I recommend you look. It's intriguing. And also Kramer Junction. Finally, if the calcite substation is ever built, please keep this in the record. Let it be built a mile or a half a mile west of the proposed site, right in the Edison right-of-way. It's flat, it's up against granite Rocky Mountains. You wouldn't even see it. You wouldn't see it from any angle. You'd be looking at it, but you wouldn't know you were looking at it. There's no reason it should be built right on the scenic highway. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Linda Gommel, followed by Lori Steele, and then Ann Mudge.
Hello. I feel like I'm really out of my element here. There are a lot of people that know a lot more than I do. I've lived in Lucerne Valley 51 years. We have the store there where we did do the rooftop solar and the parking lot solar, and that's the way we think solar should be done. I don't know all the technicalities of RECE and this and that. I just know those of us that live there by choice. We live there for the beauty, for the clean air, for the valley views. We live there to get away from the ugly urbanization and industrialization that happens everywhere else. Anyone that chooses to live in the cities, be my guest. You can have it. We don't want it. And one of the people from the Sienna Solar said they're shaping the future of energy in California, which makes me kind of laugh because, first of all, we know that wind and solar are inefficient and expensive and unreliable. They say it's reliable. It is not. It is not because the wind is not reliable. It is not because the clouds are not reliable. And our power bills go up when we've had cloudy weeks. So we know. And even Larry Fink, who's the chairman of BlackRock Investments or Financial or whatever it's called, and he's now a co-director of the World Economic Forum. He's also been a principal funder of green energy and a huge promoter. He finally said recently that wind and solar energy alone are insufficient to meet the massive power demands of AI data centers. He emphasizes the need for dispatchable energy sources like nuclear power. Why is that not mentioned? And he talks about modular nuclear reactors. So even some of the cheerleaders are seeing the reality of wind and solar. So much as we respect the electricians and the unions and their families and their needs, we don't think that those temporary jobs should, for them 1 year or whatever, should affect the whole lives of all of the residents of Lucerne Valley. So our request is to please honor the appeal and please protect our beautiful valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Steely, followed by our last speaker, Ann Mudge.
Hello, good afternoon, supervisors. My name is Lori Steely. I'm a member of the former North Frisk Coalition that was mentioned earlier, as well as the Mojave Communities Conservation. I am here today as one of the 7 co-appellants, along with the Morongo Basin Conservation Association, in opposition of the Planning Commission's conditional approval of the Sienna project. The Sienna project bears no resemblance to the original projects from a decade ago. The size and magnitude of the land displacement in comparison is a 370% increase to those other projects. The attempt to slip by this Trojan horse of a project as a mere relocation of the prior projects is an insult to the entire region and especially the disadvantaged community of Lucerne Valley. We, your constituents, depend upon our county staff to make prudent, responsible, and fair decisions regarding land use within and around our communities. There are a myriad of reasons why these environmental documents are insufficient, some of which are failure to fully address potential health impacts to the disadvantaged community from dust pollution of 2.5 and 10 p.m., failure to address appropriate mitigation planning, failure to recognize and address that this project is merely a Trojan horse, in that by its mere presence, the vacant lands within the perimeter of this patchwork project will become useless for any other purpose other than solar. As such, the entirety of the land and parcels within that perimeter should be considered as a cumulative impact. Finally, I want to express my profound disappointment in our county, who has turned a blind eye to the major accomplishment that should have been heralded, not ignored. That is the designation of Highway 247 as a state scenic highway. I personally know the volunteers from that committee that have worked for nearly 2 decades to make that happen. Instead of getting widespread attention with public notices and ribbon-cutting ceremonies, this designation has basically been swept under the carpet by the county. A designation of this kind has the potential to be a true asset to the county, and especially the disadvantaged community of Lucerne Valley, as well as Johnson Valley. Instead, the scenic highway designation has been ignored in preference to the Trojan horse of a project that is Sienna. What a shame. In fact, that is the same Sienna, in the words of our union, has stated that it will bring 12 to 14 months of job opportunity, but raise and permanently damage our desert for generations to come. Let's put these guys to work. Let's put them to work down in the Inland Empire, covering huge vacant rooftops with solar. Please do the right thing. for our county and our rural communities. Please approve our appeal. Do not deny as you have written in the agenda as if this were a foregone conclusion. Please hear our rural communities and do the right thing.
Ann Mudge is our last request to speak.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Ann Mudge. I am the counsel to the project and have worked on the project through the CEQA process. I just want to point out something procedurally, and that is that the appellants here withheld their arguments until today's hearing. We didn't get a copy of their PowerPoint, and in fact, the only way that we knew what arguments they were going to raise was that they posted some of their claims on their website, which did come to our attention, and we were able to respond to those comments in a letter dated January 22nd. But normally, one would anticipate that they would provide both the county and the applicant with their written claims prior to a hearing like this, but we were not provided with those. The benefits of a project like this are very clear. It will provide much-needed electricity, and importantly, energy storage with the battery electrical storage system that goes along with this project. A project like this will provide power to between 350 and 500,000 homes. It will lower our electricity costs, provide jobs, and provide significant tax revenues to the county. On the legal claims that have been raised today, it's clear from a legal perspective that this project is exempt from Policy 4.10. It meets the board's vested rights policy of having been determined to be complete prior to the adoption of that policy, and was relocated in accordance with that policy. And I think it bears repeating that the applicants here worked hard with the community to relocate the project to reduce the project's impacts, in particular the impacts of visual impacts from Highway 247. The EIR, the county's EIR, complies with CEQA. In particular, it has an adequate project description, and it discloses the project's cumulative impacts. That's what an EIR does, is it's a disclosure document. It also contains very robust dust control measures. In terms of the designation of Highway 247 as a scenic highway by the state after the release of the EIR, it bears pointing out that the EIR assumed that the Highway 247 could be designated as a scenic highway at any time, identified and disclosed that it was eligible for such designation, and its analysis of the impacts of the project assumed that it was an important scenic resource. If you have a chance, I believe you probably have already, it's very instructive to look at the aesthetics chapter of the EIR and look at the before and after visual simulations. The project is barely discernible from motorists traveling north or south on Highway 247.
That's time.
Thank you very much. That is the last request to speak that I have. So now we will bring the applicant back up to make their closing remarks, and they will have 5 minutes, followed by the appellant with their closing remarks of 5 minutes, and then we'll go to board member questions of staff or either of the parties.
Hello again. Annie just really wrapped up the project phenomenally. We strongly believe that this project has done everything right, that it's followed the procedure, and that the benefits really will come to the community and come to the county. So we are here, and we just hope that the Board of Supervisors, that they also see that this is a net positive to the area and that we move this project forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we will have the appellant come forward with 5 minutes for closing remarks.
Thanks very much. The Avantis Council recently said that it is the same project. It is not the same project. It is a different project. It's a larger number of acres, it's a larger number of megawatts, it's not the same. There was discussion about it might have been difficult to find a site of exactly the same size. It could have been done. You could have taken a big parcel and chopped off a portion of it and kept it exactly the same. But they're trying to utilize this loophole to create a larger project than what was allowed. So we still believe that this is not the same project, and that Section 3 within the RECE cannot be relied upon for this. We cannot rely on the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management District or code enforcement to control dust. When the dust starts to blow in a windstorm in the desert, you cannot control it. And we don't see any of the any commitment by the developer to adopt mitigation measures that will categorically keep dust down. Highway 247 is a cultural resource, and it must be explicitly studied as a cultural resource, and the fact that it has been designated as a scenic highway within the EIR. Not just dancing around it. As a scenic highway, there can be no overhead utility lines utilized on that unless they are specifically exempted by Caltrans. We haven't seen that, and this is one of the reasons we say that the project has not been adequately studied and defined. Lucerne Valley is an economically disadvantaged community, and the fact that this project would further add to its disadvantagement really needs to be recognized by the county, and really encourage the board here to recognize the value of a scenic highway and uphold our appeal on this thing. And lastly, we don't believe there's been sufficient studies of alternative choices. There's been a lot of discussion about utilizing rooftop solar. Let's use the unions to cover every building, every parking lot with utility solar close to where they live in town. That is an alternative that really needs to be looked at. And I encourage the county to take the lead in terms of being a renewable energy leader and start doing that. I spoke earlier about some discretionary funds. You could cover the entire parking lot out here. How many of you like getting into your car after a meeting on a 100-degree day? It's terrible. You'd reduce the heat island effect in the city. You provide a resource that would provide resiliency in the event of an emergency when all of these power lines on the other side of the San Andreas are no longer able to be used. If you had a resource here in town, it could be used for emergency services. It reduces the operating cost of the county. Start putting some focus and emphasis on that would be, I think, a really good way to go. Lastly, Advantis talked about this development would lower electrical costs. I don't see any indication that electrical costs are going down. It seems to me all the projections are that electricity costs are going to continue going up, up, up. So, and lastly, lastly, barely discernible. When we got when the 247 was declared as a scenic resource, it required excruciatingly detailed analysis to show that there was nothing there. That's what makes 247 special, is the vast open space. That's what's inspiring to people. You see that landscape and you feel, it opens your heart. It feels like there's a future that you can just over that rainbow, just over that ridge is something that you can really grasp. So once again, thanks so much, and I look forward to your acceptance of our appeal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right. Now we'll bring it back to the board for questions on all sides and county staff. Please.
What's the, I know on the PowerPoint way back when you had some general slides of what the current land zoning designation was. So what would be some of the density, what would be some of the projects that could be built on this land?
Within the rural living designation, I'm not sure of the exact density, but it would be houses spaced further apart. I believe it's either 5 acre minimum or greater. Within, let me just look at the PowerPoint really quick.
Says
While you're-
one for 2.5.
While you're
in
looking at
rural
that, I'll
living.
jump in because this has been a source of contention for much of our rural districts, is that we have sort of a kitchen basket of everything that gets thrown into rural living. It could be a trash transfer station, it could be a cattery, it could be homes, it could be a lot of different things that take place on it.
Yeah, that's the point that I was trying to find out. Is what else would it be?
It's a lot. When you look at the development
Yes,
code.
through the chair, they're under the resource land management and the rural living designation. There is a large number of things that can be done. Some are permitted principally without a discretionary permit, and others require conditional use permits if they're more intensive or of a differing in use, similar to solar.
That's the question I had.
Okay,
Lots of
I
comments.
have lots of questions for you. Where was the, can you please speak to, we've heard from both sides through the attorney that spoke last, the presentations not being available. Specifically, my concern is to your presentation to the appellant, and that wasn't made available to them in advance of at any point. Can you speak to that and the reasons why, if that's the case?
Absolutely, Chair. There is a county review process that we have to follow. And my understanding, after giving direction to staff to provide such copy of the presentation when it was deemed ready to be distributed, that occurred this morning, and there was an email that was sent to a member of the appellant group at 8:39 a.m.
Which in their defense really isn't a lot of time to review it, but
Understood.
I understand. Okay.
Understood.
And if we can move on to the Planning Commission hearing. I was in the community last night, and I heard from a lot of folks that they were not pleased with the Planning Commission hearing, that it started off with 4 members, it dropped to 3 for the final vote. And while that might be legally allowed under the rules of the Planning Commission, that projects of this scale it would be appreciated if all of them could be present for these. So that's my appeal to you in the future, to make sure if we can have a majority, if not the full, Planning Commission. And I know that they're volunteers and they tried their best. It was told to me that we had a member of the Planning Commission state that he was in favor of things like this because he works on it, perceives a conflict of interest. So there is that concern as well. So I would love for you to speak to that, but mainly also is why wasn't the scenic highway, whether it was proposed or finalized at that time, presented as a condition for consideration? I know it was addressed in the EIR. I know it was contemplated in the environmental report, but why wasn't it presented to the Planning Commission?
I believe it's been vastly shared today that the Caltrans designation was made by that entity on September 4th. In order for that to take effect here locally, there is a local planning document, which is policy map NR3, that still had to be updated to reflect the state designation. With that said, it was initially believed that given this document is within our general plan, that we would actually have to go through a general plan amendment for that. However, as it was further researched and looked into, it was determined that it could be done administratively. As all that was occurring, the local designation was done internally with an effective date of October 31st, 2025.
It's unfortunate that it was never presented to the Planning Commission as a pending possibility. That's what we're hearing today from our residents. Moving on to the compatibility and the renewable energy conservation element, REAS 410, can you address the use compatibility concerns of dust control and consumption of water, long-term visual impacts. I mean, we've heard lots of it today. That is one of the main concerns, and I know that it was touched on in your presentation. If you could reiterate that after we've heard the appellant's arguments, because really what we're here to do is to find a legally substantial impact that wasn't found at the Planning Commission. So have there been any legally substantially noteworthy things that come out of REAS 410 that we've heard today with regard to dust and water and visual impacts?
Thank you, Chair Rao. The EIR process did have air quality analysis. It does require mitigation of dust mitigation, and it was run through the Mojave Desert Air Quality Management Plan. The project is required to comply with the Mojave District Air Quality Management Plan and their regulations, as well as get a permit from them for dust mitigation.
The removal of the sites, and I will speak to this later in my comments because I was a part of the process of them. Mr. Bardwell referred to it as a loophole, and they were allowed to recite. It was supposed to be like for like. It's an increase in acreage of 224 acres and 75 megawatts. An increase. Was that contemplated by the staff of land use and found to be like for like?
Thank you. From the information provided at the time that the current application was processed, the county had determined those applications complete, had determined that the transfer of funds from one trust account to the other established that the project was subject and consistent with the relocation plan. The increase of megawatts and acreage, as the applicant stated, is simply because the parcels they were able to obtain were of a certain size, and they utilized all of the parcels that they could obtain with agreement from those landowners.
And the decommissioning of the site, one of our public speakers today asked about that. I am concerned, and it is, who pays for that? How does this work? And that is of concern, I think, to everybody in this room.
Chair, I can address that. County Code 84.29.070 actually does identify the decommissioning requirements for the project. There are two specific sections that need to be met. Section A, which is a closure plan, and Section B, compliance with other requirements. To your point, the project owner shall prepare a closure, revegetation, and rehabilitation plan submitted to the Planning Commission for review and approval prior to building permit issuance. So there is clear direction here as to what needs to be complied with per county code.
We heard lots today about the potential cumulative impacts, environmental and otherwise. The proposed 28,000 plus acre Stagecoach solar project and the proposed 480 Ord Mountain, and they're proposed. Would they all connect through the calcite substation?
I think that's a question that is difficult to answer. Currently, the Ord Mountain and the Stagecoach solar projects are inactive. They have been since 2018, and I don't believe that the county considers them projects that would move forward without reapplication.
Do we know if there is sufficient capacity in the Piscalugo line from the calcite substation to the Hesperio Lugo and on to LA?
From the information that was provided to staff, when the calcite substation is constructed and developed, that capacity will be considered.
And we heard one of our public comments today was that there is a new proposed project that is 5 square miles in this area. It is my understanding that what we passed with REAS 410, that would not be possible. Is that your understanding, and are you aware of a 5 square mile project?
I don't believe staff is aware of a project that is 5 square miles.
That is correct. Chair, I would like to, just given the sensitive nature of the item and the commentary that we are sharing with you, I do want to be clear on decommissioning. This is something that will go through our planning division staff as it relates to the items the project owner must comply with that I noted per county code. In addition to that, as it relates to the distribution of the presentations, I previously made a comment to that. I also want to allude to the fact that the counsel for the project applicant did receive further information as it was requested. So in fairness to both parties, I do want to state that to make sure that although we were responsive at a staff level to let them know that we were going through a process, we wanted to make sure that we stayed on top of communicating that to them. Thank you.
I have one last question before I provide my comments. This legal process that we're going through today, has there been anything brought to the county's attention that would give the Board of Supervisors a legal justification to either deny the appeal or to send this back to the Planning Commission?
I can share with you on my end that we have consulted with County Council on the items pertaining to the subject matter of the project from a staff level at Land Use Services. I cannot attest that I've been told what you are referencing right now.
Okay, thank you. One of my first votes as a newly appointed supervisor was on Reese 410. I wish I had been more active in the earlier years and fought with the then Board of Supervisors to have this in place where we would not have incompatibility in our rural communities. And it was really welcome. And I'll tell you, I've driven this a ton of times from 247 at its point of origin in Yucca Valley out to Barstow. And the view sheds that were referenced today are important. They are, maybe not to everybody that's from the city, it seems like it's a vast desert and you can put solar anywhere and not have it impacted. That is not the case. And I am here to tell you firsthand, and that is why I voted to support the Reese 410, that these were not appropriately cited within our communities. However, having said that, at that time, anybody who was around will remember, philosophically, with this project or any other, I hate it when the government changes the rules on anybody midstream, any type of zoning, anything. And that is unfortunate with this project, that is also the case. And so, not to be a hypocrite, I worked with the applicant and I worked with the community in those early years to see, could we find a siting of this project that could be like for like? And I understand that there are those here that do not believe that this is like for like, that would have less visual impact and less community impact. And the applicant worked through that project to then relocate to the site that we're now discussing. So it is unfortunate because personally, I wish that this would have never come forward. I believe that our desert community should have remained intact without these large renewable scale projects that come into our communities. And with that, in my previous comment about not wanting to change the goalpost on any type of applicant for any project, it has created a conflict. I am not up here today. We heard a public speaker today said she wishes she weren't in our shoes, and I can echo that wholeheartedly. It is a very difficult position to be in for all of us. It is not about our feelings, because if it were about our feelings, I would approve the appellant's application to deny this. And I legally cannot find the justification to do that, and that is what this board is tasked with. It is unfortunate that more of this wasn't brought forward in the planning and the planning commission level. I would have loved to have had this brought forward. It's a tremendous accomplishment to have the scenic highway. I hope that the impacts that have been shared will be just that it's a teeny dot at a distance. That remains to be seen. I do hope that our applicant will work with the community on the dust, on the decommissioning when that time comes, and become an integral part of this community, because this is their home. This is their backyard. This is not the temporary job, and no offense to labor. I absolutely understand and agree with most everything that was said in the room today. But this vote today is not about how I feel. If it were about how I feel, it would be a different situation. And so without the ability to legally deny this, I'm in a difficult position. So if there's no legal justification to approve the appeal, then I would like to give my fellow supervisors an opportunity to weigh in, but this is a frustrating position for us all to be in. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I, like you, were back in those days when we came up with the policy. It's been a while. And I agree 100% of pretty much everything you said. And first of all, I want to appreciate everyone for coming out and coming down, especially our high desert residents to come down in person. That was very good to see you. And, I just want to address some of the things that are brought up. First of all, this is utility scale to a certain extent. I sit on as the county representative for South Coast AQMD. I see the numbers. I see the regulations we're pushing out to go more electric, to cut down emissions, to work on things. And I know the power needs, not just for my county, but all of Southern California. And currently with the California state laws the way they are, green energy, solar is basically number one. There's some thermal, some wind, but solar is going to be there and needed more and more. All throughout the county, I think we all have projects that's been either delayed or stopped because there's not power. So to say this is only the 500 temporary jobs, it's not true. That power creates opportunity in other places throughout the county to have projects that are on hold right now because Edison can't supply it. So that power is needed throughout the whole area. Like the chair, I wish there's certain areas. In fact, we are trying to find areas that is acceptable to build more solar in the future. And it's difficult when the landowner is the federal government and there's areas that would be perfect for our residents, but not good. We don't have the opportunity to go there. So we'll continue to work on those things going forward because this is, power. I heard about rooftop power. I did some quick calculations and with some AI help on the computer. I love rooftop power. I got it on my building stuff too, but that's nowhere near the need we have to replace this project. Again, I'm not the greatest mathematician, but I came up with roughly, 500,000 to 600 spots in the parking lot to come up with, close to the equivalent. And when you don't have all that in one place, and the cost goes way up, and now that's a cost that's not going to get a return on that investment. Although I still encourage all my businesses and residents to get their own solar to help cut back on the cost on it. When we talk about visual impacts, I get it, but it's assuming that the land currently stays vacant the way it is. If I'm a landowner up there, I have my choice, I'm gonna build something. So when you compare the apples to an orange, it can't be with today's setting of it being vacant. It's something else would be, and that's why I was asking the question, what else could be developed on that much acres? There's gonna be something that's probably a little bit higher than a solar panel that will still impede some kind of visual sight at some part. I do want to, dust is going to be a big issue, and it is since I serve on the South Coast. The monitoring, I think, will be important. The mitigation for that, more of a permanent than going out in the truck 3 times a day in a windy day. I think some of those things need to be looked at. What can we do as a whole? And not even undisturbed land has those issues too, but especially when they're close to our residents and neighborhoods out there. As I was stating before, this is a judicial decision. We're kind of unique. When I was a legislator, we just dealt with the legislative. And but on the local level, you're both executive, legislative, and judicial. This is an appeal process. We have to look for a fault in the system in order to have the justification to overturn the planning commission. I believe the staff did the best. Now, over 10 years, projects are going to change. Okay, when you're building a home, projects change over 18 months. So over a decade, and technology and all the rest is going to be changing over that time period. So I do assume there are going to be areas that it's going to do. And I agree with the chair completely. If I was local mayor voting on this, I'm going to vote on it. I'm unfortunately a county supervisor who has to look at the whole system. The whole system means that each one of our districts, we have our own burdens. I have an airport. I hear it from my residents all the time. The more success my airport has, Ontario International Airport, the more noises they hear at night and go in different directions. I hear from all the time. But that's an essential part to our region to continue on both the trade and the leisure and business travel for my residents as well. So every success has a kind of like a balance of burdens. I have a lot of the warehouses in my district and the entire valley that supports the trade and commerce and everything. And things are constantly always evolving. So I do get that. But overall, I don't see, in my mind, a way to overturn this. So thank you those are my comments, Madam Chair.
I have 2 additional comments that I would like to provide to those people that are speculating and looking at land in our deserts. You heard our rural community. They came all the way down this morning. These are not welcome in their backyards, and I would welcome you to come out with me to see what our backyards are defined as. It's vast and it's expansive, and I know someone from the city may not understand it, but we'll be willing to take you anytime so that you do have a deeper understanding when it comes to investing in our communities. And lastly, and I usually never do this, to the last speaker, and it's fortunate I cannot remember your name, if you are part of Advantis, and this is how we're going to set the tone with a snarky attitude on how you are going to come forward and work with this community, I challenge you to change that attitude. This community has my cell phone. They will be in touch with me the entire way through this project. So when the dust starts to blow, I will get the phone calls. I will be out there, and I will be the problem. I will be your problem. If that is how you are acting right now in this chamber in front of us as the Board of Supervisors, complaining about you not getting the appellant's thing, there was a more professional way that you could have stated that. We heard the appellant state a very professional way that he didn't receive something, and I appreciate the respect that he had. I would challenge Advantis to have the respect for our community and for this Board of Supervisors moving forward with this project. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to deny the appeal from Supervisor Hagman and a second from Vice Chair Baca.
If we could please close.
I need to close the public hearing. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the item passes unanimously with those members present.
Thank you very much. That is our last discussion item today. We will now move on to our general public comment on items not on the agenda. And as a reminder, public comment today is limited to 2 minutes. Thank you, Miguel and staff. Thank you. We're going to start out in our high desert, Joshua Tree and Hesperia conferencing sites. We're going to go to Joshua Tree first. We have Eric Menendez with 2 minutes up, followed by Karen Reich and Michelle Gibson, and then Jaime Fawrup in Hesperia.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, 2 minutes. So I'll try to, this is a tough act to follow here. So I just wanted to talk briefly about some of the work we're doing out here with the unhoused. I would like to congratulate Marcus Dillard and the OHS team on our point in time count. I think they've been doing a great job. The other day I was on my way to a healthcare district meeting and I saw an unhoused gentleman trying to get on the bus. And they would not let him on. So I don't know, you can kind of see him here. He's with the shopping cart. This one, yeah. So unfortunately, I got up and I said, how come, they wouldn't let him on with his stuff, even though he could walk? It's a common challenge that they face, because anyways, we won't talk about that. But I ended up getting off to talk with the man and help him try to get where he needed to go. And I sat with him for an hour. I tried to get the HOPE team out for the sheriff's department. Unfortunately, they were, I think, in the other part of the high desert. I worked with the town of, we got him, come to the next bus. I tried to get him on. By that time, he'd been out in the elements all day. He'd been kind of unable to get on the bus for over 6 hours because I saw him earlier in the day. And he basically, by that point, he fell out and we had to call EMS. We got him to our local hospital. I'm working on a project with multiple people, like I said, about trying to help serve these people who need the help on the streets. And we had placement for him. But during the course of the next 3 days, we got him back over to Yucca Valley, where the senior center staff and the town of Yucca Valley staff, they were so helpful. We had a place for him to go, but unfortunately, he kept winding up back in the hospital. He camps out at the park and ride. And over the course of the same weekend, I encountered a second gentleman who was discharged from our local hospital, High Desert Medical Center. The nursing staff assisted him on the bus. It was before I got on the bus. I happened to be on there coming back. And to get off the bus, when it came time in 29 Palms, he couldn't get himself up. He ended up, the bus driver to call EMS.
That's time.
He fell. But anyways, we'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We're going out to Hesperia now with Karen Reich, followed by Michelle Gibson, and then Jaime Fawrup.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Karen Reich. I'm not here to speak softly about the traumatic and devastating consequences that have happened because of CPS. It's been 600 days, 12 hours and 57 minutes since my grandkids were removed from my care for no reason. Nancy Schaefer exposed this, the realities of what CPS is about Nancy, she was silenced because she exposed these truths. Her warnings remain urgently relevant. The question before this board is simple. Will you allow unchecked power to continue destroying families like mine has been destroyed and continues to be? Or will you act decisively to restore transparency, accountability, and justice? The time to act is now. Families deserve it. Children demand it. Justice demands it. And I won't back down till I get my grandkids home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michelle Gibson, followed by Jaime Fawap.
Hello. Hi, my name is Michelle Gibson, and I am here to support my friend Karen Reich. I am here to express my deep concern regarding the current practices of child protective services in our community. There is growing evidence that CPS actions often fail to uphold fairness, due process, and the best interests of families, resulting in unnecessary trauma for children and parents alike. Specifically, I am concerned about unjustified removals of children based on insufficient or questionable evidence, lack of transparency and accountability in case investigations and decision-making, disproportionate impact on certain families, suggesting systemic bias in CPS interventions, limited venues for families to appeal or challenge decisions, leaving them powerless in the face of life-altering outcomes. These practices are not only unfair, they undermine trust in the systems meant to protect children and families. Families deserve an agency that operates with integrity, accountability, and a commitment to true child welfare, rather than one that acts arbitrarily or punitively. I urge the Board of Supervisors to take immediate action to investigate CPS practices, ensure independent oversight, and implement reforms that guarantee fairness, transparency, and justice for all the families. Our community's children deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our last request to speak in Hesperia is Jaime Fawap, and then we'll bring it back here in chambers, starting with Daniel DeMeyer, followed by Hayward Jackson.
Hi, my name's Jamie Forup, and I'm here to support Karen Reich too, but I too lost my children to CPS, and my daughter was real angry. She went on a field trip and I was supposed to go and I wasn't able to make it, and she told her teacher on the bus that I sometimes hit her, kick her, and said some mean stuff because she was angry, but they took her from me, from school. They took her from school and came back to the house to get my oldest son. And to this day, my son is a repeat offender. He's a criminal. So if it's for the better of the children, I just don't see how that could be for the better of the children. My daughter ran away repeatedly to come back to me. I mean, but the system is really messed up. I mean, a child says stuff when they're angry, and that's what happened to my kids. So I'm in support of Karen Reich. I mean, it's really true. They take him for any chance they can, you know? But thank you.
Thank you. Now back to the chambers. Daniel?
Sorry, Madam Chair isn't here to listen to this, but I thank you all, including the directors, for your time, even though it was shortened. I drove from 29 Palms with a very, very important regard. On October 30th, I was out doing tractor work in between my home and my neighbor's home when my nasty neighbor, another neighbor, came out, took some pictures of me. 10 minutes later, I had 7 sheriffs sitting at my house, one Deputy E. Hernandez with a gun, very trigger-happy little guy, needs to go back to school and learn how to handle his weapon. I'm on my tractor like this. You can see I have no weapon, and he's aiming this thing 30 feet from my head. And I had 3 other sheriffs sit there and try to bail this guy out for his misactions. Anyways, this is a SWAT call, and your dispatcher should have had the number of the person that called, and they should have had a few other things, but they didn't do that. They didn't come to my house with proof. They just threw me on the ground face first, dislocated arms. I'm disabled. No questions, no proof, no nothing. When they got on my property, they started searching my property, telling my neighbor, my roommate, that he wasn't allowed to go back in the house. He had nothing to do with this. I'm really upset, and the reason why is because I had to go out and get a restraining order. I've actually had to call the police to make several complaints now. This man is now stopping in the middle of the road, stopping contractors that are working for me to come on my property. He's harassed me nonstop, and the sheriffs have done nothing. I really need some sort of answer, something going on with the sheriffs, whatever, the district attorney. This has to be settled because this man's crazy and he's going to wind up hurting somebody. There's been many other things that I could talk about, but
That's time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We have Hayward Jackson, Carlo Alcaraz, and then Jane Hunt Rubel.
My name is Hayward Jackson, and to the board and members, I would like to share with you today these words from the living God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 30. Thus saith the Lord, the words of Agar, the son of Jacob, even the prophecy, the man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel, and you call. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learn wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fence, and who hath bound the waters in his garment? Who hath exercised all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? All the words of the Lord are pure. He is a shield unto them that trust in him. Add thou not to his word, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. 2 things have I required of thee, deny me not them before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither food nor poverty. Feed me with food convenient for me. I would have liked to talk to you about the horse leech. Would have been more sufficient. Thank you anyway.
That's time.
Thank you, sir. Carlo, followed by Jane Hunt Rubel.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlo Alcazar. I'm a 13-year Special Operations veteran, and currently now I switched over to the Naval Reserves as a Naval Intelligence Officer. So I understand about preparation. I understand about, facts, figures, laws, and if any of my sailors now would have behaved in such a way, there would have been consequences, right? We don't cover up for anybody, right? Good order and discipline. You don't cover up for child abuse. You don't do any of that. But what I've had is CFS constantly change the story, and I would like to know how an incident that involved spraying my children in the face with oven cleaner, which I have proof of, video, and also document, and also pictures, CFS ended up submitting something at family court saying it was cooking oil. That's not a sleight of hand. It's also omitting that the fact that my children were groped. But don't listen to me. Listen to the perpetrator.
No. Yo la toqué, ok, yo la toqué. Yo la toqué, ¿en qué forma te toqué?
Ella lo dibujó, Sagi.
Okay.
She drew it.
Dile qué forma.
I know. Okay, there you go.
Oh, no, I know, espera, no.
Mija, it's fine. I don't wanna,
No.
That's it,
Di
mija.
por
I'm
qué.
gonna go home.
Guarda
It's
silencio.
fine.
Guarda
I love
silencio.
you. I love you.
Silencio.
I don't want to do this anymore. Get your stuff.
No, espera, Soraya.
fine.
Soraya. Di por qué te toqué, porque esto está...
Tell them why I touched you. She kept on saying, tell them why I touched you. It was a Fontana PD officer that was recording that on his chest cam. Tell them why I touched you because he's recording it. CFS, why was that video not included into the record? Why was I psychologically evaluated and the mother was never? Why was the Bible incident that my daughter was attacked for having a Bible in her possession changed from it did happen to, oh no, she's self-harmed? This is an issue that happens over and over.
That's time.
And
Thank you. Jane Hunt-Rubel, followed by Andrea, followed by Arlie Cedillo.
Excuse me, I got dizzy from not eating. Anyway, we only have 2 minutes, so I'll make my point. Thank you, Baca, for finally having a meeting this Thursday, a community meeting out in Musqueam. But I'm here today because last Friday evening, they were back again at 2317 West 2nd Avenue in Musqueam. They have 2 acres, and last year, we thought we had it settled, my neighbors and I. They hold big events there, and they have security guards, and people come from all over Southern California. They started it up again last Friday, and I was really upset about it. So was my neighbors. The police came out immediately. Thank you, guys, for coming out so soon. But it went on and on and on, and finally, they did something. I thought it would be taken care of last year because it's a land use issue also. We're designated, we live in a residential community, and these people are getting away with it. We thought you had it settled last year, but they're back again, and I want to make the county do something about it permanently because they're disobeying. They'll keep on having these big, and it draws. I had to call the highway patrol last Friday too because they park up the street on both sides, and then they go around the corner to Vermont too. And we're talking a huge amount of people. I really resent the hell. We're entitled to peace and quiet out there, and these kids that come from all of, they throw their garbage, in front of our yards, and I'm sick and tired of it, Baca. So I'm hoping at the meeting on Thursday, that it will come to fruition, because we need to be respected out in our community. I'm tired of people just coming out there thinking they can do drugs and have these big events. And
Thank you very much. Andrea, followed by Arlie Cedillo, and then Maria Leyva.
Good morning. My name's Andrea. We met 2 weeks ago. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a mother with 4 kids stuck with DCFS. On January 17th, since we last seen each other, my 2-year-old daughter sustained a head injury while in a licensed foster home. She fell from adult height bed head first onto a hard floor, resulting in a large hematoma on her forehead and her scalp. The foster parent did not seek a medical attention. Instead, she took photos of my daughter's injury and sent them to the social worker. The social worker, who is not medically licensed, looked at the photos and decided that medical care was not necessary. For 60 hours, 60, my 2-year-old daughter went with a significant head injury, received no medical assessment. It was only until I seen her at a visit and recognized that this required medical evaluation, and I demanded it. And then after I insisted, she was taken for an assessment. And even there, the assessment was inadequate. The physician assistant performed only a cursory pupil check and was leaving the exam room. When I questioned whether that was the extent of his assessment for a head injury, he dismissed my concerns, stating, "Kids have resilient skulls." Only after I identified myself as a registered nurse and challenged his inadequate exam did he recommend emergency room evaluation. Despite repeated requests to DCFS, I still do not know if she was taken to the ER as recommended. I'm wondering if county contracted medical providers are minimizing injuries to foster children to avoid creating records that would trigger investigations. I still am unable to get breast milk to my infant. That was an issue that has not been resolved yet. And in 18 years of parenting, my children have never sustained injuries as bad as this in their 8 months in county custody. Thank you.
Arlie Cedillo, followed by Maria Leyva, and then Devon Kilgore.
I want to start off by asking every single one of you individuals that are up front, if you guys can please give me your undivided attention. Today, the reason why I'm standing before you, I am here with California Family Courts Exposed and California Family Courts Naked Truth in Orange County. And the reason why we're standing today is because we have identified several judicial infractions on a regular basis that are being worked as part of the systemic issue, both in family courts and dependency courts and CFS. We've identified not only one isolated situation, but we have over 200 families that have come forward explaining different various violations of their rights within family courts and dependency courts, CFS. This isn't isolated. I am bringing this up to your guys' attention today alongside with some of the families that were able to make it on a short notice. But we have over 200 individuals in the in the San Bernardino County that have already vocally explained that their rights are being violated, that due process is not being provided, that there are attorneys that are fraternizing with judges, that there's kickbacks going on between social workers, CPS, and different third-party agencies. These are all various concerns that several constituents within this community have vocalized. We are asking for oversight. We are asking for collaboration from the Board of Supervisors from San Bernardino County to collaborate and to work with the families that are being affected. I am with Orange County Naked Truth in Orange County, and we are working towards recalling judges. Please understand that we are looking for collaboration from San Bernardino, and if we are not met with collaboration, we will continue to show up.
Thank you very much. The next request to speak that I have is Maria Leyva, followed by Devon Kilgore.
I am speaking on her behalf.
My name is Maria Leyva.
Her name is Maria Leyva, and in her particular story, I will be sharing what she has encountered. Maria has actually requested that individuals from the court take the time to actually look at her case, take the moment to actually look at what has actually transpired. In her particular case, her daughter did a teenage thing, which teenagers do. And because a teenager made a mistake, as a parent, she was condemned and her children, all her children were taken away. Now, I want us to think about this in situations where a parent has been deemed to do the incorrect thing or a child has done the incorrect thing. It is a parent's responsibility to find a solution to the problem and the state to help us find a solution to the problem, providing services and resources. However, in fact, that has not been the case here. In this particular case, there has been paywalls that have been set up, and there has been no ability for her to defend herself against allegations that have been imposed on her. Now, this would be a normal situation for CPS or for dependency court, but the problem is that not everyone is looking the other way anymore. Now you have families that are actually connecting with each other and documenting who are the common social workers, who are the same judges that are not preventing us from being able to be heard. A lot of the situations that are occurring right now is that these judges are making there's accusations that are being made and they're not being actually substantiated with evidence. A family will show up for court and be given documentation already with decisions that have already been pre-made without giving them a shot at defending or actually showing proof of otherwise. Now that is not a due process.
Thank you. The last request to speak that I have is from Devon Kilgore.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Devon Kilgore, and this is my second time appearing before this board. I came here previously because I believe I will receive the help and oversight I need. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and the issues remain unresolved. I'm here because I have experienced multiple violations in my case, including due process violations and violation of my rights. I have not been given clear explanation or written documentations for the actions taken or requirements imposed on me. I have repeatedly attempted to resolve the issues through CFS administration, but I have been ignored and dismissed. I request written communication in a formal oversight review. After I requested written communication, I received a phone call from Assistant Administration Mia Moore, who said she had concerns and was trying to contact me. I emailed her stating I want oversight review and that all communication be in written. After that, she called again, which is a violation of my request for written communication. Despite these attempts, I still have not received clear written responses, and my concerns have not been addressed. I have been denied transparency and proper documentation, and I am not being given the legal process I am entitled to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is the last request to speak that I have. Our meeting is adjourned. Our next regularly scheduled Board of Supervisors meeting will be held here in chambers at 10 a.m. on February the 10th. Thank you all for today.